ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಈಗ ಸಂಕವನ ನಡುಹಗಲು ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿ 11 ನಿಮಿಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಅದನ್ನು ಶುರು ಮಾಡುವುದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಡಲ್ಲಾಸ್ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ನಿಂದ ಪ್ರತಿನಿಧಿಯಾಗಿ ಬಂದಿರುವಂತಹ ವಿಸ್ಮಯ ಬಾವಿಕಟ್ಟಿ ಅವರ ವಚನಗಳನ್ನ ಕೇಳೋಣ. ಎಷ್ಟು ಸುಂದರವಾದ ವಚನಗಳು. ಎಷ್ಟು ಸಲ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಮನಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಸಂತೋಷವಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಈಗ ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಅಪ್ಪಣೆ ಮೇರೆಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ನೂನ್ ಸೆಷನ್ ಸಂಕವನ ನಡುಹಗಲನ್ನ ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ವಿ ಆರ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ದ ಸಂಕವನ ನಡುಹಗಲು. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಮೆಮೊರಿ ಆಫ್ ತಾಯಿ ಸೂಳೆ ಸಂಕವ್ವ. ಅವರ ಅಂಕಿತ ನಾಮ ನಿರ್ಲಜ್ಜೇಶ್ವರ. ಶರಣೆಯಾಗುವುದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಶಿವಾಜೆ ವೇಷಾವೃತ್ತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಅವರ ಒಂದು ವಚನವನ್ನು ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಹಂಚಿಕೊಂಡು ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನ ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಈ ತರ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಪರಿಚಯವಿಲ್ಲದಿರುವಂತಹ ಶಿವಶರಣೆಯರನ್ನ, ವಚನಕಾರ್ತಿಯರನ್ನ ನಿಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಪರಿಚಯಿಸಿ ಅವರನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಮೆರಿಕ ವೀರಶೈವ ಸಮಾಜದ ಮನೆ ಮಾತಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕೆಂದು ಈ ಒಂದು ನಮ್ಮ ಈ ಸಮುದಾಯ ಸಮಾವೇಶದ ಉದ್ದೇಶ. ತಾಯಿ ಸೂಳೆ ಸಂಕವರ ವಚನ. ಒತ್ತೆಯ ಹಿಡಿದು ಮತ್ತೊತ್ತೆಯ ಹಿಡಿಯೇ, ಒತ್ತೆಯ ಹಿಡಿದು ಮತ್ತೊತ್ತೆಯ ಹಿಡಿಯೇ, ಹಿಡಿದಡೆ ಬತ್ತಲೆ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಿ ಕೊಲುವರಯ್ಯ. ವ್ರತಹೀನನರಿದು ಬೆರೆದಡೆ ಕಾದ ಕತ್ತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೈ ಕಿವಿ ಮೂಗ ಕೊಯ್ವರಯ್ಯ. ಒಲ್ಲೆ ನೊಲ್ಲೆ ಬಲ್ಲೆನಾಗಿ ನಿಮ್ಮಾಣೆ ನಿರ್ಲಜ್ಜೇಶ್ವರ. ಎಂತಹ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ನಾಮಾಂಕಿತ ಇದು. ನಿರ್ಲಜ್ಜೆ ಈಶ್ವರ. ನೋಡಿ, ಈ ತಾಯಿದು ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ವಚನ ನಮಗೆ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿರೋದು. ಈ ತಾಯಿ ವಚನ ಇನ್ನೆಷ್ಟು ವಚನಗಳು ಬರೆದಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಅದು ಬಂದಿದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ನಮಗೆ ಆನಂದ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಅದು ಮತ್ತು ಈಗ ಇನ್ನೂ ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸಂಶೋಧನೆ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ಅವರ ಬೇರೆ ವಚನಗಳು ಸಿಗಬಹುದು. ಇಂಥ ವಚನವನ್ನ ನಾವು ಹೇಳಿ ತಾಯಿ ಸೂಳೆ ಸಂಕವನ ನಡುಹಗಲನ್ನ ಶುರು ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಫೋರಂಗೆ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಅತಿಥಿಯಾಗಿ ಬಂದಿರುವವರು ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಭು ಪಾಟೀಲ್ರು. ಅವರ ಜೊತೆ ಮಾತುಕತೆ ನಡೆಸುವವರು ನಮ್ಮ ಮಹೇಶ್ ಪಾಟೀಲ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಡೆಟ್ರಾಯ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಪ್ರಭು ಪಾಟೀಲ್ ಒರಿಜಿನಲಿ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಡೆಟ್ರಾಯ್ಟ್, ನೌ ಇನ್ ಡೆಲಾಸ್. ಮಹೇಶ್, ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ನೀವು ಮುಂದುವರಿಸಬಹುದು.
Thank you, Harish. Okay. Thanks again. You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Mahesh Patil. I'm going to be the host for today's business seminar. Once again, welcome to VSNA 44 Samane Convention. I again congratulate Harish, Hiramat, and all the committee who have done this fantastic job. I know it's been a bumpy road for the past 2 years for VSNA, but they have been doing an excellent job. We were all there with Harish and everyone to kind of go through that part. But we are seeing a great progress in the past couple of months for sure. Okay. Before I forget, I have to wish everyone a happy Independence Day. Lord Basava bless America with health, which is a need of our because of this pandemic. And of course, health, we need a wealth also. But if you have a health, we can definitely, create the wealth. They say in America, it's like a land of opportunities. We all know about that. It always keep telling. But to see those opportunities and take advantage of them, you need to have certain mindset or skills. In other words, you have to be a great entrepreneur. And today's topic is exactly that. And we are going to focus on the entrepreneurial spirit. And we have a very special guest, Prabhu Patil, with a proven record in this field, who is going to be our talk. The format is going to be the same like what we did yesterday. It's going to be a 1-hour session. First, I'm going to introduce Prabhu. After that, a fire chat with Prabhu, questions and answers between Prabhu and me. And then after that, we will open the questions from audience. You can type in the questions in your chat, then I can read it. If you really want to talk, you can let me know. I'll try to unmute, or Harish can help us unmute you guys and things like that. Just a brief introduction about Prabhu. Prabhu Patil is a founder and a CEO of ProLane. Prabhu has over 28 years of CAD, CAM, CAE, and PLM experience. Prabhu started his career as a space scientist, building missiles at DRDO in India. Hopefully you guys know or remember something about DRDO. It was basically, Dr. Kalam used to head that, division. Okay. In fact, Prabhu was one of the youngest, scientists, you can call it, who was picked by the, Dr. Kalam, where he applied CAD/CAM technology and, built missiles. At that time, using software to simulate design and analysis was in its early stages. That's where he spent time. Then after that, he worked at PTC, IBM, from software developer to a project manager. He, climbed those ladder. And later he worked for 18 years at STRC. I don't know if you remember STRC. It used to be STRC. Now it is called UGS, Siemens, PLM, and things like that. He has experience in pretty much all kinds of verticals, such as automotive, aerospace, defense, medical device, or heavy industry, and whatnot. Okay. After this, he spent time in the Siemens and PLM. After that, Prabhu started his entrepreneurial journey, where he has built Prolim with 9 global offices, with over 400 employees in a short amount of time. Prabhu has a bachelor and a master degree from engineering from India. And also he has secured an MBA from Michigan Ross School, one of the best schools, probably you guys know. He's like a deadly combination of technology and business. He has all the skill sets that are needed to drive a technology company. And also Prabhu has many awards that he has got for his work. He has around 19 awards. I'll just read a few of them. He's got the Entrepreneur of the Year award from US government, like INC 500 fastest growing company, a leader and an innovator award from Lawrence Tech in Michigan, there's a university, and Michigan top 50 companies as his company. He started his company in Michigan. He has got that award as well. And then later he moved to Dallas there as well. He's got the 100 fastest growing company or something. He has associated to VSNA, for more than 25 years. And he has served, I know for sure, he served in local chapters, has done pretty much all kinds of roles and responsibilities. In fact, he was at Central president for 2 terms, if I'm not mistaken, and he was there all the time. And also along with that, Prabhu, not only just for a VSNA, he's associated, he does helps many non-profit organizations such as Akshay Patra, United Way, and also he sponsors over 100 children education and food year per year. He does this as a dasoho than as a charity. Again, apart from all these things, I know Prabhu personally for more than 20 years, as he used to live in Detroit. We have common thinking, interests, or whatever you call it. What I found him to be is very intelligent, hardworking, motivated, and visionary. But apart from all these things, I found him to be a fantastic human being. He's very, very humble. I think that's the reason why he has seen so much of success in his life. He's very proud of ESNA, like Ravi, what we saw yesterday, and he's always there for ESNA. I have seen it right from when I was a local chapter president in 2019, and there were lots of conflicts, but he was always there for us. So he's like a best example of his life. What I have seen is the best example of, for many of us, where we kind of, from struggle, we go from struggle to a stability, then stability to a prosperity. And from a prosperity, once you're prosperous, you go back to the community and you do the community work. I think this is enough. I describe him about him. I think I can go on as he has many achievements. But I feel I should take time now and then hand over to Prabhu, and let's hear his life story from his own words. Prabhu, I will make you a presenter, or you can.
I just talked. Can you hear me?
Yeah, and I will also share. Hang on a second, 1 second. I'll share my screen about the. There you go, Prabhu.
Okay, thanks Mahesh for a kind introduction. I'm very excited to be a part of VSNA. I always had the slogan, I am proud of VSNA. VSNA is a part of us, and I have been associated with VSNA. I learned a lot from VSNA from many, many years. I used to attend VSNA lots of conventions. Pretty much every convention I attended except 2 or 3 I missed. Every convention I used to attend, go and sit as a young adult those days and attend the workshops, business workshops. I used to listen our great Naduhagalu, Mr. Daki, and so many other senior part VSNA leaders. Learn every time. Today, and also I want to congratulate Harish for the great convention that he has put together in spite of this pandemic that's going on. Very well done. Today, I want to talk a bit about my journey. I'm going to talk about my journey is not to praise myself, but to try to correlate, try to connect with your life story and see how that transform, how you can potentially transform to become an entrepreneur if you wish to. Yesterday, heard a great story about success story of Ravi Boklapur, who came in as a student in an unknown territory of insurance industry and transformed into building a great medical schools and all the stuff. Today, I'm coming from a technology background. Like anybody else, I born in a small town, Haveri, which is in Dharwad district. Now it is a district itself. We have only one college, no engineering college those days. But growing from that small town, going through the typical doing PUC engineering, Master of Engineering, and trying to find a great job, that was the dream. So my dream was fulfilled when I got into a space scientist after my master's degree. I became a scientist for defense R&D, DRDO, as working on Agni and Akash missiles under the leadership of Abdul Kalam those days. But if you look back, that journey, that part of the journey, the knowledge, the education that is helped by my parents, my teachers, that always work hard, do well, get a score. So when you go into this entrepreneur into and working at a missile program, you have to launch the missile. It's not like building a car. Car is, if it doesn't work, you can push it aside. Missile, you launch it, it got a few minutes and it will go and hit the target or fall into the ocean. So that things have to work connected very well across multidisciplinary engineering, aerospace, all those different departments. But what we learned during that process is working hard, thinking all possible issues and making it work. So that's analytical skills and hard work. Then I got more passionate using this CAD, CAM, PLM technology, applying to build missiles. Then I got fascinated and wanted to join a software company which develops that software. So I joined that company called Computer Vision, and I worked there and moved to United States, worked in IBM, HP, EDS, and Siemens along the way. So during this entire journey, I had a lot of technical skills, how to run the projects, how to work with the people, how to lead everything. So, but when I joined along the way on the side, I joined VSNA. When we were in India, we didn't know much about Basava Tattva, Basava philosophy, Vachanas. We heard a little bit, few things, but not a whole lot. When I joined VSNA, I started learning more and more about Basava philosophy, Basava Tattva. So that brought honed on to a lot of soft skills and organizational skills that I got passionate with that and joined a leadership team as a Detroit chapter president, Central VSNA, lots of learnings there. But what was missing was sales and marketing skills. Then I thought I will go to an MBA school and learn those things and continue my life journey. So as a part of that MBA essay, there was a question, what would you do after 10 years completing MBA. So it took 3 months. It's a simple question, but you had to get into top school. You had to write a very compelling essay. So it took me 3 months to finalize that essay, thinking through that, hey, after 10 years, I will be an entrepreneur. So that's I wrote. And when I completed that after 10 years, I really started this business. I would say there is a lot of luck of hard work, everything boils down to become an entrepreneur. And when you are running a big company, when you're working for a big company with lots of support, and you become an entrepreneur, you're on your own. You're alone. You don't have anybody who can give you a laptop, who can book your travel, nothing. You are on your own. But building that, having that strong mindset, that drive to be successful, and those are the key things that drives to become an entrepreneur. Since then, we worked hard year after year, days after days, and today now we are a multi-million-dollar company with 400 plus employees, with 10 global offices: US, Canada, Germany, India, Australia, and New Zealand. So this is anything can do. If a VSNA ordinary member like me, who born and brought up in a small town like Hameri can do, you all can do. It's required a little bit of mindset and passion to pursue that journey. So Mahesh, that are my few words, but my objective and your objective is to help and motivate. If we can help and motivate a one VSNA member today, our objective is successful.
Absolutely, Prabhu. I think one of the takeaway from this seminar would be to kind of motivate ourselves irrespective of what age we are in, and we have to get into that journey of entrepreneurship and things like that. Obviously, our community needs more entrepreneurship compared to the other communities that we see. Our community honestly lacks those things. Is it something, Prabhu, you want to continue to speak, or we will have questions and answers and things like that?
I think we can answer more questions. It will not relate and try to help people. The goal is not to talk about myself. We talk about how we can help, how we can motivate, how can we help the people overcome their fear to become an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. So on that line, Prabhu, I just have this question. I myself go through many of the engineers or the technical people, they kind of go through this. Why anyone should take an entrepreneurship journey when you have built a career, your wife, husband work together, make a good salary, and you're living American dream, everything is set, and then why to take that kind of a risk? Okay, that's probably, we can start with that kind of a question to kind of open up.
Sure. So the entrepreneurship is a journey. If you look at today, is an Independence Day. So it's a freedom. So I don't know you remember or not, when I quit my job, I was in a top position at Siemens, running 13 countries. Fantastic job. I don't need to learn anything. I was top 2% employee of the company, running 13 countries. Everything great. Nothing to worry about. My trajectory was awesome. So, but at the same time, that internal feeling that, hey, when we can do for somebody, we can do for ourselves, where with an entrepreneur, you can influence many things. You can not only help and you grow yourself, you can create job. Working for somebody is very easy. But if working for yourself, first thing, that is hard. Then once you have, then can you create jobs? Can you create wealth? Can you impact the lives of the people? If that's what you want to do, not only create wealth for you, your family, and your ecosystem, and help people, that's the entrepreneurship that gives a sense of satisfaction. So when I started this company, I was going through the same dilemma. Hey, life is good, children are small, and job is great. You don't need to do anything. Life is good. You go work, make money, all that's great. So, but my internal feeling, internal voice was saying that do something different. It took a while to think through. Then we made the decision on day one when my family, including my parents, when we were driving down on August 15th to Noai Expo Center to attend the Independence Day, August 15th, India. That day we were talking in the van. I said, hey, I want to do it. I want to do it. Only my dad was saying, don't do it, because your children are small. My wife was saying, she is saying, do it. So it was going on like that, back and forth and back and forth. Then that is an Independence Day, we were driving and we decided, okay, let me become an independent. Let me be myself. Let me do something different. Last 20 years, I worked for somebody. Next 20 years, I want to work for myself and create wealth and opportunities for not only me, myself, my family, and the community or the places we live in. So that passion draws in. That makes a difference. Why entrepreneurship?
Okay, excellent, Prabhu. So basically, it's about giving back to the community and also satisfying your own appetite after doing certain things. You kind of, you know what, I'm always working for somebody. I have all those abilities, and then you want to take that journey and basically build a wealth for others and the community.
Correct.
Excellent. Yeah. And also, this is where many of us have this question: like, how do you know that you are, born for that entrepreneurship, qualities? Is there any way we can just evaluate ourselves, or people would know by certain things? How you came to know about yourself?
So nobody, I mean, there always that old debate when we were children, we used to write that essay, leaders are born, not made, or vice versa. And those are debates we used to write. So everybody born a similar way. Some people have some exposure during their childhood, uncle or somebody. Yesterday, Ravi was talking about he has an influence of his uncles who are the printing press and all stuff, some exposure. But in my life, my dad was a professor. I never had, none of our family are business people or work in any, everybody is worked for somebody and lifelong. So nobody is born that way. The skills you can build. It's all about you and you and you. So if you can we assess, there is a framework can we do to build that, assess whether I'm fit for it or not. So the question is, one has to sit and do a self-retrospection or a self-assessment, saying that, what do I want to do in my life? It doesn't need to be an entrepreneur and open a company and do business. It could be an entrepreneur. You can work in your own company in your framework, but still do the influence. You can do that, make it happen. So in order to assess, you need to think back and assess where I'm today in my life, what strengths and skills I have, what I want to do, what is my inner voice says, what is your passion? The passion is very, very important. If there is no passion, it cannot drive. So we are all here, July 4th weekend, Sunday, we should all be eating and happily and sleep and watch for fireworks. But we are all here for the VSNA. The passion of our Veerashaiva philosophy, passion of our VSNA organization, we are here. So similarly, if you want to be an entrepreneur or assess yourself, what is that passion that? Is that passion what you are trying to achieve, what you have, and what you want to achieve, where do you want to go? You have to draw that chart. Sometimes you can do yourself. Sometimes you may not be able to do it. You may need some external help. In my case, I did my own as a part of the writing that essay. It took a while. But if we can't do, some people are struggle with that. And that's where we are here as a VSNA senior people who have been that past that journey can help you, help those budding people thinking about, assess that introspection. We can help you a ecosystem, echoing your inner voice. Hey, what skills you have? What is your core competence? Where do you have? Why do you want to do the business? Do you have those skills? If you don't have those skills, you can build them. If you can't build them, you can surround with the people or partner with somebody who has those complementary skills. So it's all about thinking, the soch, who am I, what I want to do, where do I want to go, why I want to go. Those are the basic questions need to be answered, and speak to somebody who has been through that journey, because they will be the devil's advocate for you to really uncover. Otherwise, we all think, and when drinking, we think, oh, awesome, great. We'll think about it, and then we sleep over it, and next day, Monday morning, we go to the office and forget about it.
I agree. It happens very a lot. Yeah. So this is another question, in fact, come from audience also, and the others have also asked. Is there any age bar, Prabhu? This is always the, 20 years, you can take lots of risks, whereas 40, 50, you cannot take a lot of risk. And do you see any age bar for this entrepreneurship?
So, yeah, there is no age bar, and the older you become, it's harder it sounds to be, but it's not. It sounds to be, because when you are out of college, your earning potential is very low or almost nothing, or you may not have a job. So your cost of opportunity is very low or none. Mm-hmm. But as you go into this senior, when I was working, I was senior director, I had 6-figure income and all that stuff. My cost of opportunity is huge. So if I had to lose that money, today I'm making this much, tomorrow my income is zero. So the cost of opportunity is very high. Hence, there is a fear will be there in people's mind. Hey, what I want to do. So in order to overcome that fear, I always used to say, when I quit my job, I said, hey, my salary is $1. I used to say louder and louder in my outside, so that it goes into my bloodstream and my veins, saying that undo what I learned. Hey, your salary in the next 3 years is $1, $1. I keep repeating. Then after some time, it became, okay, I lost my job. We have to keep saying that. That fear will go away, because, hey, where is my BlackBerry? Where is my phone? Where is my laptop?
Right.
My month end, there's no paycheck. So that fear will be there. So by saying that, you can overcome. So to add to that, if you all might have heard Mary Kay. Mary Kay is very popular fashion brand, lipsticks and all they will make. She's Mary Kay is a lady in Dallas. She retired as an office administrator at the age of 65. Her son died, and she has only a grandson who was not doing well at all. All she had is $6,000 in her retirement funds. So she wanted to help her grandson to do something. So she started this Mary Kay business with that $6,000, start making something and start selling those, creating that lipstick and start selling at that age of 65 to help her grandson who didn't know anything, no degree, nothing. So that's what she started. And that's how, if you look at all that Mary Kay industry, there's all women having that pink car and driving around and selling those stuff. And now it is a multi-billion-dollar company. So the age is not a bar, it is a thinking, the soch, that's where it is important.
Very good. Now, Prabhu, I have another question also. I know you're associated to Veerashaiva for almost 20 years. Is Veerashaiva principles or Basavana Sharana life stories or their struggle anyway helps you to be a great entrepreneur? How VSNA has helped you? How you have inspired from VSNA? Okay.
Sure. So if you really look at Basavana himself is an entrepreneur.
Yep.
As an entrepreneur with all those criticisms, he left his chief minister role and go around getting all those, wrote those vachanas, trying to fight against tidal wave to change the minds of the people. That is an entrepreneur. So he took the path of writing vachanas and all. So the all these people are entrepreneurs. So having said that, the VSNA, when I associated with that, first I started as a ordinary member. Started in Charlotte, attending some events. Detroit, I attended Mr. Nagmanohar's business workshop, all those things. So it was just used to go and sit in the last seat. Just, yeah, the VSNA, let's go sit. So we're learning along the way, even though it's not, some things make sense to us or not, we're listening and learning along the way. So then when I became a Detroit chapter president, when peoples are different, our Veerashaiva members are all excellent people, all are great, educated, loving members. But in a non-profit organization, everybody has their own views.
Right.
And it's all going to different direction. How do you bring them all together? So we had a debate about VSNA versus LSNA. There are so many things like that happens. But as a leader, we start learning them, working with them and helping them. So what VSNA helped me, it honed my soft skills. How to communicate, how to we have this simple vachana. Kalabeda, kolabeda, hosiya nudiyelu beda, tanna bannisa beda, iduru haliyelu beda. Ide antaranga shuddhi, ide bahiranga shuddhi, kudala sangama deva. So if you just follow these words, which is very, very hard to follow it, each one of them. Iduru hala veda, don't criticize others. So learn from others. When somebody prays, earlier there was a vachana sang by a lady, Baidavaranna bandhugalanbaya. So when somebody criticizes you in an organization as a president, you were also a Detroit president. A lot of people, some people praise you, and as we talked earlier, Harish as well, lots of people criticize us.
Right.
So we don't react to them. We learn from them.
Right.
When somebody criticizes, it is an input for ourselves to improve ourselves. That's one of the very important skill for running and becoming an entrepreneur. For example, how we grow Prolim from a $0 to multi-million dollars global company. Customers will tell you, because they are the one pays your PO and all the money. But before give you money, they will question you. They question your credibility, question your honesty, and if things go wrong, they will shout at your face. So when they do that, you cannot react. When they're shouting because there's something wrong, and indirectly they're giving you feedback. And taking that knowledge, Baidavarana Bandhugalambaya, taking them as your relatives and a feedback, learning that and improving, those are the skills. And third one is the organizational skills. Running an organization, what Harish is doing now, it's very difficult. So I call VSNA is like running a rabbit. All rabbits are running in different direction. How do you catch all of them, put them in, and putting into one direction is a difficult thing. Suddenly one rabbit goes away, but bring them back. Right. So that's what this organizational skills you will learn. So hence I encourage all of the youngsters who are part of here, join VSNA, work in any capacity. You will get critics from everybody. There will be politics happens, but those are all learnings that makes you successful.
Very, very well said, Prabhu. One thing, I always find it very interesting or fascinating is more than the Vachana literature or anything from our Sharanas. Like you said, the Basavana himself was an entrepreneur. If you really see a definition of a social entrepreneur, you would see exactly what Basavana and all the Sharanas did. They had a social, reforms. They had a vision, and to achieve that vision, they, sacrifices came up with such a great concepts. We in the business, we always talk about keep it simple. Our Easterlinga concept is definitely a best example of keeping it simple. Or what do you call it? Bringing the concept of temple to your Easterlinga, or there are many other stories that can really correlate from our what do you call it, Sharana's life.
Another thing, another vachana is Ivanarava Nandini Saya, Ivanamma. So when you work with all these customers, all your employees, all your colleagues, as an entrepreneur, you're always fighting for something. The customer wants pay less and you want more. Employees wants more and you want to pay less,
Right.
because you run the business. So when you think that, you always think in a very selfish manner, yourself and you as the owner of the company. But if you use that one, your philosophy, your thinking completely changed. And then you apply that thing, they come to know that you're doing this, and they are going to bring you more business to you.
Right. So on this, Prabhu, I have an extension. Like I said, it is my favorite topic also. You know, you have done business degree, I have done business degree. We were always taken a use cases, case studies, we call it, and we study and we kind of analyze about those case studies. Do you think there is a scope for our VSNA community itself to kind of take this Sharana's life and translate them into a business case, and then we extract and learn, make it as a like an entrepreneur course for all these youngsters and anybody else who wants to looking for this kind of interest?
I think there is a lot of there are no in Veerashaiva or in Vyasa Tattva, we don't have a case studies, but we have the learnings and the knowledge and wisdom exist in the form of a vachana.
Exactly.
So that is where people hard to understand. So when I read a vachana, it's very difficult to understand some of those things, because that's where we have to translate. But if we take that and translate into what is applicable our people in United States, that's very, very important.
Yeah.
So that's where these are the discussions, these are the Anubhava Mandapa, what is meant for to apply, what is in our day-to-day life here in Dallas, Detroit, or Houston, or Maryland, whatever, how it applicable to the people, our senior citizens, young adults, the children, applying that and to their life is, if we can do as a leaders, that itself is a big use cases.
I agree. Yeah. So I'm always wondered, like they had a vision. It was not a funded organization or anything. They achieved all those things with no communication, no gadgets, no electronic stuff and all. At 12th century, it's something, they could convince people, that's amazing thing. Any leader should kind of have those qualities. Like you said yourself, that's where you'll kind of learn all those things. It'll be something that we can definitely, work on that and come up with some kind of a, compelling story for our younger generation to kind of correlate, especially the professionals. And, what happens is the youngsters, they have this challenge. They don't correlate themselves with the vachanas or something, but something that is towards their professional life or something that they want to achieve. And if we can translate this things into the, where entrepreneurs or youngsters can correlate, that would be something very, very great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I have now I'll come back to the technical side. I know you're very tech savvy, and I have to ask this question. Where do you see the future opportunities? Okay, especially in the tech industry or in general, okay, for entrepreneurs.
Yeah, tech industry is in, as you saw, when the COVID hit, everybody thought that the whole world goes down, the economy went down. But the technology, because of technology enablement, the whole economy grew. Our company, we grew 24% last year during this pandemic. Most of the people work from home. Because technology is the enabler, whether you're in the medical industry or insurance industry or whatever the industry you're in, technology and innovation is a key part of it. So if you go to the engineering and manufacturing side, the industry 4.0, that's a big thing which is continue to grow next few years. Industry 4.0 is an industry of automation and making things better, right? So applying robotics technology, robotics, whether robots for manufacturing or as a healthcare of operations, heart surgery, whatnot. So robotics is one of the important, machine learning, artificial intelligence. There are so many things are there. But having said that, we don't need to follow through and follow, hey, that industry is growing, we should chase that part. So we don't want to be chasers, we want to be the leaders. Whatever the industry you are in, whatever the industry, whatever the way you, whatever you do today, and thinking through how do I apply this innovation to transform that industry, finding that niche and making that happen. That's where the key part of it. And applying technology is an enabler. So you can apply, how do I improve my things better by applying this technology, either computer technology as automation and all that stuff. So pick anything that will grow, but you need to have the domain knowledge. But computer skills are very much necessary.
Okay. I do have a couple of questions from audience also. But before that, I'll just go to one more question from my end. This is a generic one. Again, Prabhu, what do you want to have to say about budding Veerashaiva entrepreneurs? That is the first one. And then, you know, I will ask the second part of that question. First is the guys who really want to start their entrepreneurship, when they can start, how they can start, and those kind of part. And part B is where if you already started a journey, okay, I know it has come from my own brother, younger brother, who's starting. He's already started, he's running, it's a small company of 100 people or something like that. How do you grow from a small to a medium or a larger company? You know, there are different challenges, different issues that you deal with. I know you have gone through the same thing, and would definitely want to hear from you. Okay, especially the capital access or many other things are really, really challenging when you want to go from small to medium.
So the entrepreneurship is, as we said, it's a journey. So there are people, there are different buckets of people. The people, hey, I'm working in somewhere, or I'm starting, doing something. I want to start a company. They're taking the first plunge. And the second part is, once I've taken a plunge for a while, and then now how do I scale it up, right? So let's address the first part at first, taking the plunge, which is the most difficult part. Taking the plunge, as I related, this is a fear of losing that opportunity and starting it. How do I start? So I coined, we had my son's graduation last month. I coined a word called FIGHT, F-I-G-H-T. So I explained that during his graduation speech. So FIGHT stands for F for fearless. So the fear, you need to overcome that fear that, hey, I'm losing this money. I will be having this problem. That fear is number one problem. You need to overcome that one problem, fear. Second one is innovation. How do I stand for innovation? How do I innovate? Innovation is not invention. It's doing something better than what is already there, right? Finding ways to improve it. That is innovation, which you are quite familiar. Third, G stands for grit. The grit is very, very important if you want to become an entrepreneur. Grit is a passion and perseverance to achieve a long-term goal. You have a goal, I want to do this, I want to be an entrepreneur to do this, whatever that is, to build a software company or build a medical practice as a cardiologist, best in the thing, or a lawyer, whatever it is. So having that long-term goal and having that passion and perseverance day in and out. If you want to become an entrepreneur, there is no word called vacation in your dictionary. There's no vacation. It's a part of your life. When you do work, you enjoy it along. It's merges. I don't have any vacations at all. It's a part of this. So that perseverance, passion, perseverance, and for a long-term goal, that's a grit. And third one is H. H is honesty. This is where Veerashaiva philosophy coming in. Whatever you do, you need to be honest. If you are telling to your customer or trying to do something, if you're wrong, be honest about it. Yes, we screwed it up. We are going to do it this way, and be honest. and people will excuse you and give you a second chance. But if trying to be dishonest, you're done. And third, last one is the time. Time is very, very important. You have to plan your time. How do I plan? If you want to go haircut, you have to plan initially to think about the whole facets of it. So having this fight, fear, innovation, grit, honesty, and the timing is very, very important. Putting them all pieces together. So, but now, how do I take a plunge? First plunge. First, you overcome that fear. Two, you need to have passion. What is my passion? I'm a passion as a fashion designer, or I may be I have passion in yoga, whatever that is. So Harish's passion right now is to build VSNA organization. That passion drives everything. It will not make you tired. It will not make you unhappy. You'll make you wake up and start doing it. The passion has to be there. And the passion and your target, what you want to achieve long term, has to be aligned. If they align, it will talk. It will take off. So that's the first part of it. Take that plunge. So if you can't do this on your own, take the help. Set up a meeting with me or Ravi or who are all those senior members who have walked this life. Echo with them. They will help you, guide you. We are here to help you all. That's the first part. Second part, you're already running the business now. How do I go? Do I take a private capital or can I take another partner or not? So my philosophy is if you're taking $1 from somebody, you have to give them $1.2.
$2.
So you ask money, why do you need money? Why do you need that capital? Is it to buy the car or is it to improve your lifestyle, or are you going to add something to your solution and sell? So I have not raised a single dollar as of today. We are a zero debt company. But I saved everything. I've made money. I rotates. The money goes out of my pocket. Nothing comes to my pocket. Keep on building, keep on building. We acquired a company in Australia last month, Australia, New Zealand. It's an 18-year-old company. Now we know we can grow it. In 3 years, I have to return money back and it has to be double. So that you have to define that strategy and the plan and then execute it. Again, consult some of the senior people if you need help.
Okay, I have the last question, Prabhu, and then I will hand over to other questions about the wife and family support. Okay, how they have supported you. They are very, very important part of your I know Ashwini very well, and you have 2 kids, grown up a great family. Why don't you talk about that?
So the family is very, very important. To give, when I explained earlier, when my dad was saying, don't quit the job because he's a professor, retired professor, his thinking is less risk and all. My wife Ashwini said, looking at me, looking at my face that I wanted to do this, I keep talking. She said, do it. Try for 3 years. If it don't work, you can always get a job. So that bolstered heavily to start this business. My kids were very, very young, 2nd grade and 5th grade at that time. They were very small. So when we go to Chinmaya Mission in Michigan, we brought them, and then I used to go back to the car and I used to work from the car. And when we travel anywhere, they will be quiet. So they are supported along the way. They know what that takes. So the family is very important. Let me give an example. If you have a kite, you all know familiar with kite. If the kite has to fly high in the sky, you need to have the tail.
Excellent.
If the tail is not there, the kite will rotate and fall down.
Absolutely.
Your family is a tail. It is a stabilizer. It will hold you and make you fly high. That is that important.
Very well said, Prabhu. Best example I could imagine, I guess. I do have some questions. I think, Harish, I know you want to ask a question, and I have a question from Rohan also. How about first I will read what Rohan has to ask, and then I will give it to Harish. From the audience, Rohan Patil, he writes, as an incoming college freshman, I'm very interested in starting my own entrepreneurial journey. When do you recommend I start this journey?
So we all talked about earlier, is there an age bar to become
Yeah.
an entrepreneur? Though, so age is not there at all. You can start entrepreneurship at any time. You can, when you are in a graduate, going to a college or somewhere, you can, what is called as a bootstrap strategy. Don't give up your education now. There are good examples of Bill Gates quit his job, quit his school, and become a successful. There are a lot of good examples. But my recommendation for our community is don't focus on your education. Don't give up that. But while you are doing that, start in your business on the side and leverage all the resources that's available at your school. Learn from that and start working. And every year, do one step at a time, baby step at a time. It's entrepreneurship is climbing a staircase. Put one step at a time, learn from there, take leverage from your school resources, and define what you want to do and build it. You will be successful.
Excellent. Yeah. Harish, I think we're left with 5 minutes. I'll give 2 minutes and then I'll conclude the meeting. I know, Harish, you wanted to ask something. You can unmute and then go from there. Yeah.
Thank you, Mahesh, for giving me the opportunity to ask a question. Before asking a question, Prabhu, I just want to kind of make a statement. By the service what you have done for Virishaiva Samaj of North America, for being 2 times president, 4 years. You are one of, we consider as our area, and we salute you from bottom of our heart, on behalf of Virishaiva Samaj of North America. Our sincere thanks for your service to the organization and your continued love and affection for the Virishaiva Samaj of North America. I saw your real loyalty to the organization in last couple of months. Whenever I communicated with you, your deep-rooted love for VSNA as an organization, it really surprised me. I really salute you. And out of all your achievements, I think this love you have for VSNA is very unique. And I really respect that. And I wish that many of us to develop that kind of love for the organization, which has done so much for our family. And like a good example you gave, like the kite, we are all flying because of a thread. And the thread was made strong by VSNA. So that thing, we should not forget it. Very, very important. And my question to you is, we all have complained, all the people like me with the gray hair, where children are grown up. Our children, they have participated with VSNA regularly, every event without fail until 18 years. Afterwards, they're all gone. VSNA basically lost them. Everyone we are talking about, oh, we have to get back our children, we have to get back our children, but they're not coming. And have we really bothered to ask them why they are not coming? Is it a pattern of life? They have to move on and forget about VSNA and go with their life. Is it a normal thing? Or as a leaders, are we doing something wrong? Is our organization, we are feeding the requirements of the immigrant Indians who have come here from there? Are we failing to provide the requirements of the children who have grown up here? Their thinking is different than ours. Maybe is it something we have to, as seniors, we have to think through, that maybe VSNA is not offering what they really want to continue their close association with the VSNA. This is a very serious question. We need to, I know you'll not be answering everything here, but I want to get your opinion because you're a very strategic thinker. If we don't attract our own youth after 18, by 35, this group, we don't attract back to VSNA, then I think something we are doing wrong. As a leader, I always think, if people are not supporting me, it is not their problem. It is my failure. That's what I think. Please tell me.
Yeah, so this is a very deep-rooted question. We have successfully failed as an organization to attract and retain youth. I also tried when I was chapter president, VSNA president, when we conducted a convention at Maryland, Atlanta. We one time I did that. Hey, let's attract this youth by having a convention on cruise. We took a cruise from Florida to Bahamas to attract them. Many people came. And 3 years ago or 4 years ago, we had a convention, youth convention in Dallas. Lots of youth came, run by them, and it was there. So there are 2 challenges we have. One, the youth, they are at a different lifestyle. They are trying to complete their education and trying to find their career path and going in that. So they are very busy in their lifestyle. One driver. On the other hand, we, the older VSNA people, we are not willing to relinquish our stereotype mentality and the organizational framework, this and that, not welcoming them. So these are the two bookends are fighting invisibly. And so that third dimension is we don't have any good program for them to come and engage. So because the vachanas are all in this Kannada language and different language, although there is a conversion, English translation exists, but that doesn't connect well with all the youth. After a certain stage, they are done. So how do we bring them all together? They do know each other. We had all these conventions. My children, like your children, my daughter is a life member of VSNA. They know their own, some circle they have within the small group. They talk each other. They have some level of Basava philosophy is there. But in order to bring them all together, we need to have that, we talked many times, have a one-day session, one-day convention just for them, run by them, defined by them. We as a leader provide the framework because they don't have time and they don't have resources of capital, raising money and hold all that stuff. As long as we provide that framework of putting the framework, venue, some financial support, and hey, you guys come and do it. When we had this convention in Dallas, the youth came from California to Atlanta to Boston to here. They gave a fantastic speech. They did a wonderful job. Their communication level is out of the blue. They're far superior than us in terms of knowledge and competency. So if we can provide them an exciting thing, it's a mix of little bit of education, business value, and entertainment, or all those things. If you put that package attracting to them and you provide it, they will come. It creates, we need to create a momentum for them. But if you ask them, hey, here is the thing, do it on your own, they will not, because they are busy in their life and they don't connect well with us. Or we all here because we have passion. They don't have the passion of Virashaiva, VSNA as we have, because we've grown there and came here. They don't lose. They're born here and they have their own community here. They have their own system here. So to only bring them, have that event. That's the only way. Whenever that event happens, it will stay there for a few months. Then it dies down. Then again, you have another one. Then it will pick up.
So you what you say is basically somewhere we seniors, we are not kind of grasping really what they want and what we need to do for them to become an integral part of this organization and continue this further.
Correct. We need to have parallel organization for them. That's the only way. Give them charge, because many of them are busy in their career. They don't have time. They're trying to pursue their life, but we are already pursued our life. So we lack, they don't lack. The way we feel the vacuum here, they don't feel the vacuum. They have everything there in their world.
I think probably the whole storytelling has to be different. I don't know. Vachanas in a rap, Basavarna in a Superman. Yeah, why not? As long as the concept is communicated to them, it's good. I do have one more question from the audience. This is from Ajit Rampure. I'll just read it. I'm a 70-year doctor and a social entrepreneur in home healthcare sector, set up in Bangalore, trying to raise funds to expand, but running from pillar to post. It appears as an exercise in futility. How do I go about? And I have totally lost. And this is a perfect example. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people who have a great idea and everything else, but they struggle with funding and all. What do you have to say about this?
So again, getting money from when you don't have, it's very hard.
Right.
When you have money, getting more money is very easy.
Very easy.
In my company, I get every week or every month, I got a lot of offers of private capital coming in, and this one do that, this one do that. They're coming, they're behind us. We are saying no. So it is a chicken and egg problem. So in order for you to raise money, you have to have a convincing, compelling story that connects to the people. You need to have that pitch deck.
Right.
Exactly what is it, what we have done so far, and we are giving this $1 or $10, whatever it is, how that will impact, whether coming back as a return or going for a particular cause. If you demonstrate that, when the COVID happened, VSNA raised funds, right? When this was happening in our chapter, we raised in Dallas. There was some shortage. I said, I said this is for a good cause, whatever the gap, I will fill it, and we did it. So that should be a cause, social entrepreneurship, it should be a cause that connects with the people, explain what is the impact. People have money. Everybody will give money if there is a real connection or if there is a value. So that's what we need to define. And again, if there is any help that needs to be, talk to some senior people, write that story.
Right. So, well, Prabhu, unfortunately, I think we are running out of time. It's 4:04. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Fantastic to listen to your life story. I know many things, but every time you bring a different perspective. I'm pretty sure our audience and everybody else also kind of enjoyed. And I do have one thing, a final thing to note. You know, we every year we do this business seminars. We talk and then we forget it, right? That's how it happens. I hosted in Michigan, Detroit, and we kind of lose that link after that. But going forward, like we talked, you know, you kind of agreed. So as Ravi and many other entrepreneurs that I know, well, they're ready to kind of help. And we are trying to form, just for others, we are trying to form like a focused, you know, VSNA entrepreneurial club or something like that. Okay. And there we try to support each other, mentor, like the questions that you ask, where the funding can happen, why not a VSNA crowdfunding or something like that. We can always think those kind of things. Okay. And I'm just requesting others, if you are interested in those kind of things, you really love entrepreneurship, and it is more like a entrepreneurial dasoha, I call it, and you can be definitely a part of that group. Please let me know, or anybody else, Prabhu, Hari, or anybody else, then we are very happy to kind of add you guys in that group. You can, like I said, it is both ways, budding entrepreneurs, and also we'll bring experienced people from the, you know, within VSNA community or outside the VSNA community. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mahesh. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Harish. Thanks for giving us this opportunity. I think we are running out of time. I would have to close. Thanks again, Prabhu, and thanks
everybody. Namaskar.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we will, Mahesh, thank you very much. And we are moving to Women Anubhava Forum. And this forum is, you know, led by Bhavani Mudibagil, our convention treasurer, and also our finance committee chair, and, you know, Women's Forum chair. And with this, you know, I request Bhavani to take over this forum, and please run the program. I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's an exciting time at the VSNA convention. Usually we never have this type of program on a VSNA stage. So this virtual event has given us an opportunity to kind of look at something differently than what we have seen in the past. It, for the women's, is focused on health or other vachanas or recitals or anything else except the focus of women in the 21st century. The theme for this year's convention is Vachana Karti Bhakti Yukti Mukti Shakti, which is really focused on women in the 12th century, what they did, how they took their passion for their work and how they brought that into their vision of Vachana through Vachanas. And today, what I, after just the past week that I got a call from, like, you know, why don't we do something for women? And I was interested in really looking at it from what we are doing here in the US. And when I looked at our own chapter, every woman that I have worked with or see them on a daily basis, every one of them actually works. They have a job, they have family, they raise kids, and then they still participate in VSNA. But we never talk about our work. And what I wanted to do today is use that 12th century concept and really talk to the 21st century women who are part of this today's, they may not be writing vachanas, but they're actually living with those principles, with that, with the knowledge, with the devotion and the work ethics that they bring. And not just that, but their passion behind all this is something that we all should cherish, learn, and we actually talk about it in a much more, with interest and loving and caring for each other, because we are a huge community of women and we bring a lot to the table. So with that, some of the topics that we have chosen to discuss today is creating women empowerment, career development that encompasses about gender parity, pay, power, acceptance, work-life balance. As we know, I just mentioned many things we carry, and how do we balance that with work and life, and making time for ourselves. It's not just making time for everybody else, but for us. What do you do for me, right? What do I do for me? Raising Veerashaiva kids in North America. Oops, hold on one second. Give me 1 second to. Okay. And also raising Veerashaiva kids in North America, volunteering, and retirement. These are some of the things that we should be thinking about, because we've been here long enough to really focus on these things. So with that, the way we're going to go on today is to focus on, I will start off with a brief description or brief introduction of myself. And then I will introduce briefly all the panelists. We have 6 diversified women who are involved in so many different things, and I like to bring them, introduce them first. And then we're going to go on each of these topics. And I have several questions that we have put together, and call on each one of them to respond. And my hope is that after each one of these topics, that if people have audience have questions, please put that on the chat so that we can discuss it and answer as we go along on each of those topics. So with that said, as Harish mentioned, I am Bhavani Mudabagil. So I'm a healthcare marketing professional with 20 plus years working in large, mid-size and small pharmaceutical and medical device companies, where I help to bring medicines and devices to market to help physicians treat patients. I have volunteered on the board of professional organizations such as HBA, which is Healthcare Business Women's Association, serving as a director of 3 different committees for more than 5 years. And I've also served as a board and planning committee member in a nonprofit organization called Cures Within Reach, which helps to support repurposed drugs and devices, and to help those in need for especially rare diseases. And also worked as a pro bono consultant for Taproot Foundation to help other nonprofit organizations to build their business strategies and marketing strategies. So when it comes to VSNA, I've been involved in VSNA since my teenage years in early 1980s. As there were not too many teenagers at that time, I just joined the adults to help out on various things, including Chicago's first VSNA convention in 1987 as a registration host. And I continue to be part of the organization locally and attending numerous conventions after getting married here and having children and also becoming a life member. I have served as the chapter vice president, and involved in 3 conventions. And in 2009, I was a convention chair, which was well attended. And along with my friend, I started under the, you just heard from Prabhu Patil, when he was the president, we started the Bandhavya newsletter. And I was the editor for nearly 4 years when you were getting it in print. Nowadays, you don't get that in print, but that back then we did that. And outside of VSNA, I was also a member of Kannada Kuta locally, was on several programs, treasurer of Navika, which helped to bring the 501(c) designation. I have a master's degree in marketing communications here and a bachelor's in marketing management. So at a personal level, my husband, Manju Mudabagil, we live in Chicago area. He's a computer science professional, and I have 3 daughters. My oldest, who recently got married to a doctor, is a resident physician, as well as at the Ohio State. And my second daughter is starting to pursue her law school, law degree next month. And my youngest is in her 3rd year clinical psychology PhD program. So that's me in shortly. So let me go through some of the panelists that we have today. So Dr. Jayanti Gurikote, I don't know if you, they must be on the camera here. She's a research scientist at MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston, Texas. She hails from Shivamogga, Karnataka. She has a PhD in biochemistry from the University of Mysore. She also got her postdoctoral fellowship from the Medical College of Virginia, Virginia Commonwealth University in Richmond, Virginia. She currently resides in Houston, Texas with her husband, Amritesh Shivachar, who is also a scientist. She has a daughter, Pragna Shivachar, working as a recruiting manager in Houston, Texas. She's been a VSNA Life member for several years and has been an active member of the organization, as well as she's been part of the American Aging Society and RNA Society. Please welcome Dr. Gurikote. And now we have Dr. Ambika Ambli. Ambika is an attending physician at Cook County Hospital Department of Public Health with this resulting in a faculty award in mentoring in 2013. She has authored 32 publications, 31 peer-reviewed articles, and a leading PI in 4 prospective trials, which led to further papers on that. She's been an invited guest at many conferences on diabetes and endocrinology. She volunteers during Cook County Diabetes Fair to detect and educate the general public about the diabetes and obesity. She and her husband have been life members for several years now and have taken active roles in local chapters. Ambika has led 2 CME programs during the VSNA convention in Chicago and participated in health forums talking about diabetes and osteoporosis. She currently resides in the Chicago area with her husband, Ravi Ambli, an IT professional. She has a son, Vaishak, who is a radiology resident, and a daughter-in-law is also endocrinology resident or fellow. And Ambika welcomed a granddaughter earlier this year. So please welcome Ambika. And next I have Anu Benkati. Anu Benkati is working as the Chief Operating Officer of iAsia News based in Dallas, Texas. She's a renowned host and television anchor. Anu originally got her bachelor's and master's degree in zoology and reproductive biology from India, and yet she pursued another bachelor's degree in pre-med after she came to the US in the hopes of to become a doctor. However, with all the science background, she found her passion in journalism, starting as a radio jockey hosting the popular Kannada program, Kannadigare Nimagagi, to motivate children and young adults from Karnataka to learn and enjoy rich Kannada culture. and now hosts a virtual talk show called Global Gupshup that reaches far and wide in 100 plus countries every week, facilitating a platform for many guests to share their wisdom, experience, expertise, to connect with community through creativity, providing social, political, economical, health, and educational information. She also worked on the host as DPTV home production reality show of music and dance and other entertainment related programs. She was also involved in several health organizations to raise awareness and registering for bone marrow donation. She in New York.
Bob, please note that your voice is stopping. Just check the audio properly. Sometimes, it is breaking in between.
Yeah, it seems to be okay now.
Yeah, now it is okay, but sometimes, it stops for a few seconds, so we miss something actually.
Okay. We'll try to watch it. Next, we have Supriya Antan Kadargi. Supriya is one of our younger panel member. Supriya is a senior product manager, vice president at JP Morgan Chase. She has authored the book Spiritual Transcendence, which is a biography of for Guru Sri Jadaya Shanta Lingeshwara Swamiji at the age of 30, and has written 15 feature articles on Veerashaiva Lingayat saints and doctrines. She has also served as the editor of VSNA's Bandhavya newsletter that comes in print, not in print, but digital. She's a mother of 2 children, Rishi and Diana, who are 8 and 5 years old. Supriya is an aspiring professional and a doting mother who is striving to uphold the Lingayat Dharma through her children and her writing. So please welcome Supriya. And let's go to Lakshmi Hiremat. You may know her very well for a long time. She is an author and entrepreneur, founder and creator of Lakshmi's Delights, a business specializing in diverse, all-natural, award-winning, handcrafted gourmet food product lines. She has won numerous accolades and awards for outstanding product innovations as an entrepreneur. She is one of the San Francisco's Chronicle's most popular food writers. She has appeared on national television, including Today Show, CBS, NBC, and radio shows. Her highly acclaimed cookbooks are The Dance of Spices and Lakshmi's Vegetarian Kitchen. Lakshmi was raised with Veerashaiva values and exposed to Sharanas and Vachanas early on by her parents and grandmother. Her great-grandfather was the commander-in-chief for Rani Channamma. How exciting is that? Lakshmi started VSNA Northern California 2 decades ago in her home with 5 families, and today it has grown to 200 families. She has served as a past VSNA president and 2-term Board of Regents chairman. During her term, she helped and motivated more women and youths at all levels to reshape the VSNA organization with fresh ideas. Additionally, she volunteers her time at numerous other organizations. She's a fitness freak and a health fanatic who takes the time to run regularly, do yoga, and meditate, promoting a healthy, clean diet. She would be a great person to ask about making time for yourself. She holds a bachelor's degree in chemistry. Lakshmi moved to US 35 years ago with her husband, Mahantesh. She has 2 sons, Kailash and Kedar. She has instilled her spiritual values to her children with her 6 and 2-year-old grandchildren as well. And last not but least, Sangeeta Patil. Sangeeta Patil, she got married at a very young age of 8.5 years old. She spent a significant time exploring with her family in the UK, where her 2 sons were born, and in Saudi Arabia as well. She worked for Air India, Gulf Airways, and also as a kindergarten teacher at an international school in Saudi Arabia. After moving to the US in 1994, she finally got a chance to get her bachelor's degree in computer science. As she graduated, it was meant to be for her husband, a physician. decided to start his private internal medicine practice. Without much training or knowledge of being an office manager, he convinced her to set up and manage the practice for him. She learned the medical practice business on the job and talking to the people in the business, starting from the front office to doing EKGs and X-rays when needed. Her IT background helped her with adopting electronic medical records program as early as 1999 as one of the first solo practices to use EMR in Atlanta before it was mandated by the government. While working and raising kids, Sangeeta found time to volunteer at her kids' school. She has served as a chairperson for VSNA convention in 2004 in Atlanta. With her support, youth took a leading role in several programs during the convention. Even now, Sangeeta volunteers at Raksha, a nonprofit organization for survivors of domestic abuse from South Asian communities. Also serves at Fulton County Medical Center, Medical Reserve Corps through, she helped with the COVID mass vaccination and at the Atlanta Community Food Bank. She lives with her husband in the Atlanta area who is retiring end of this month. So we have something to talk about here, which means she needs to retire too. She plans to continue to volunteer at the food bank in Atlanta and look for some charitable work in India to share her time and talent for the betterment of the people around her. She has two sons influenced by her. Oldest one volunteered with Peace Corps in Togo, West Africa, and now works for CDC as a CDC task force. Younger son works for a nonprofit organization that provides homeless people with service and teaches drug addicts harm reduction techniques and encourages them to consider rehabilitation treatment. So with that, these are our panelists. As you see, they are so diverse and so, it's just amazing. I couldn't even start where I'm like, what I do is probably nothing, I thought. So without further ado, to kind of jump right into this, let's start with women's empowerment. So maybe I'll call on Sangeeta. For you, what does women's empowerment mean? Is this about gender equality or is it something more than that from your perspective? You can unmute yourself.
Thank you, Bhavani. For me, it is gender equality just doesn't mean that you are capable of doing whatever your the better half or the men can do, but it is being able, having confidence in yourself that you can achieve whatever you want to do, not what other people's expectations of you are. So you need to know what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. You work towards your strengths and you try to shore up your weaknesses so that you can be the best person you can be. And there's a very famous saying by Malala Yousafzai that there are two great powers in this world. One is a pen, the other is a sword. But there's a power that is greater than both, and that is a woman.
That's great. So what do you just a follow-up question, what are some of the qualities of an empowered woman? Where do you see that coming through?
I think one of the parts of being empowered for women is taking, I'm sorry, there's 1 second. Something popped up on my computer. One of the ways that women can feel powerful is take control of the finances. So if you're financially savvy, then you can chart a course for your life, knowing how you're situated, because you don't have to depend on the others and you can be self-sufficient. So for me, one of the first steps I would advise any woman would be to take control of the finances.
Okay, I hope we don't create problems.
No. Well, if you don't take control of the finances, at least be aware and be fully are knowledgeable about every aspects of your financial power. That way, you're not dependent on the others, and then you can live within your means once you know what your capability is, financial capability is.
So you are saying we be an active participant in your financial background.
Decision making, yes.
Decision making. What about Lakshmi? What does I know you have your own business, right? So what was that for you in terms of women's empowerment? What does that mean to you?
Well, thank you, Bhavani, so much for the opportunity. Nice to be part of this outstanding group of women. So first of all, I would like to say we are very blessed. Our own Guru Basavana empowered women in the 12th century. He and other Sharanas raised us to the level of none other than Goddess Shakti. Equality is the core value of Guru Basavana's principles. Last night, Sri Siddhalinga Swamiji and Sri Dr. Sharat Chandra Swamiji gave enlightening speeches on women empowerment. Now, to me, my mother, my grandmothers have taught me to share my authenticity, authentic self with the world. They taught me there will be many obstacles on the way, but that's when you dig deep into your soul with courage and fortitude to keep going and never ever give up despite of life's detours. Besides my mother, grandmothers, and aunts, there are many other women who inspired me, elevated me, strengthened me, and empowered me. Akka Devi, Rani Channamma, Rani Lakshmi Bai, Razia Sultan, Indira Gandhi, Hillary Clinton, Rosa Parks, just to name a few. For all the young girls out there and women, I would say continue to be who you are. You are valuable, powerful, and deserving. Pursue your own dreams. God has made you very unique. And that is what I keep in front of me. I always think of these words and just move forward, taking risk in business, innovating yourself each and every time, reinventing. So those are the things that have helped me greatly. And mine is an accidental business, and I can speak to you about it. But I'm focused, and I use Guru Basavana's principles that they are deeply rooted in me.
That's great. Thank you for that. So Supriya, as an immigrant from India and a woman, how did that experience affect you in your career here in the US?
Hi, everyone. Yes, Bhavani. So I graduated with a master's degree in marketing in 2009. And due to the recession that time, 2009 was a year of recession, it was a good year's challenge to get my first corporate job in this country. I was also in the midst of a career transition, trying to get into the business-based roles after a brief stint in technology, which kind of made it harder to make that switch. And those days, I remember calling every contact, near and far, that I knew in the United States, their relatives, friends. Many found it very strange receiving a call from a young woman introducing herself, looking for networking opportunities. It would have probably been more palatable for most people had it been a man instead of a woman reaching out like that. Honestly, that did not deter me, and I got my break very soon. But being a Veerashaiva woman, I think, amongst all of us, I believe that we have the added advantage of not feeling less equal in our culture. This has been stressed time and again from 12th century with Vishwaguru Basavananavaru, stressing on the foundation of a casteless society, gender equal society, and listening to Akka Mahadevi's story, life story. It's a lifelong inspiration for us to believe in ourselves fearlessly and follow the dream. As a Veerashaiva woman, I was able to make some wonderful connections here in the VSNA group, who also were sort of role models to me in many ways, helped me aspire to become successful and aim big. So overall, the journey has been great. it like everybody is stating here, it's the confidence, it's who we look up to in the family, the moms, the aunts, the grandmothers, parents-in-law, and most importantly, it's a great support from the spouse, husband, everybody. That goes a long way in overcoming the obstacles here.
No, that's great to hear. I think, since this is the first time we're doing this is like this networking is so important. I know I do it in my own personal professional life because I always looking forward to how can we help the other women in the industry to help with their career. So I think something that we don't do in VSNA is something just like this, right? If you could have contacted some other VSNA people, women or whoever, and asked for help, I mean, how fantastic would that experience have been, just to kind of give that opportunity to help others. That's a great segue to our next segment. Unless Ratna, I didn't introduce you earlier, but Ratna Tota is our Vice President of Central VSNA, and she has helped me in kind of pulling this off, this forum for us, and she'll be monitoring the chat session for any questions that come along. So Ratna, feel free to interrupt me if you find any questions. Thank you. So let's go to the career development. It was a nice segue into this after answers from Supriya. So from Supriya, let's start with you again. So what are your most valuable talents and skills that help to successfully develop your career as an immigrant in the US?
Sure. So as immigrants, like you said, it's a struggle, right? With work permits, actually. Visa is the first stumbling block, I would say. The uncertainty of our tenure here, the job security makes it very challenging. And I found it very helpful here to build a strong network of professionals, attending different events at work, making new and professional personal connections. Having mentors has made a lot of difference to me personally. And then I also figured out pretty early on that we need to be a little bit of a risk taker, at least taking calculated risks. Mm-hmm. One of the recent advices that I received from a colleague was to always do a reality check by trying to understand what our friends or colleagues who have similar skill sets or roles are working as in the industry and earning in the market. And all of this, in addition to learning, I think there is no seconding to learning. It's always important to keep ourselves abreast of the latest in our fields, be on the go, and be ready to change as times change.
That's great. We'll come back to that pay discussion in just a minute, but so I wanted to reach out to Jayanti. In terms of the career development that you were, you came from PhD with, you came to the US with a PhD, and then you had to kind of do some postdoctoral fellowship here. How did that help you to kind of further your career here in the US?
Panel, really enjoyed it. This is my first time on a panel like this.
You went on mute, so if you can unmute.
Yeah, I was thanking you and the organizers for having me on this panel. I did my PhD in biochemistry from the University of Mysore. And my husband and I were both graduate students, and we both finished our PhD. And I had my daughter at the time, and I had publications. So based on that, I was offered a postdoctoral position here at the Virginia Commonwealth University. So I came here as a postdoctoral fellow. So I didn't have to look for a job or anything because I already had one. I had an offer. And my husband, luckily, also had an offer in the same institute. He was here before me. That helped me a lot. But when I came, my daughter was really, really young, 5 months old. And we never were able to, in India, we didn't have a concept of, raising a child in a daycare. So that was my first, our first thing to, hitchhike, the thing that I had to overcome and leave our child in a daycare and, continue our career to be able to do that. And luckily, the daycare, the institute we worked, both of us had a daycare of its own. So I was able to, we were able to put her there, and I could go anytime I wanted to take a look at her. And, so that was a really big kind of, God was with us, I would say. And then, yeah, we continued. It's our passion for science, my passion for science. I kept on continuing, and I did my postdoctoral and then became a junior faculty there in Virginia. And then my husband got a job here in as a faculty in Houston. So I moved along with him. And here, when I moved, I got a position also, first in University of Houston. I was a faculty there. And then I got an offer from MD Anderson Cancer Center, which is, I don't know how many of you know about it. It's one of the top cancer treatment institute in USA. It's #1 for cancer treatment. And I'm fortunate enough to be a part of that institute for the past 22 years. I think to be able to do all this, my Veerashaiva background helped me a lot, I would think, because my inspiration or the support for women empowerment, like we discussed before, came from my mother, actually. She wasn't very educated, but she was always wanted we women to be empowered and do, well educated and have a career and be able to stand on your own 2 feet, take care of the, family and children, if that, if it need be. So my inspiration for all of this is not that I wanted to prove that I am equal to a man or anything. It was just that I saw many women who were like, when they lost their husband for any reason, accident maybe or some other thing. So they were not empowered, and they had to depend always on other people to take care of themselves as well as their kids. So this was very much affected me, this thing. Looking at this, I was like, I would never want to be like that, God forbid, if something happens, I should be able to take care of myself and my kids. And if it comes to it, I should be able to take care of my parents or, any elderly people who are associated with me. So that was my inspiration. And that's the thing that brought me here. And I'm still continuing on my passion. And Veerashaiva, the principal Kayakwe Kailasa is helping me to progress in my career, because I dedicate myself a lot to the research, and I have published a few papers, a lot of papers as well. All of that is because of Kayakwe Kailasa, I would say. And also, I think I'm taking a lot of time. So yes, that's my story.
No, that's fantastic, because I think we are, like I said earlier, we are living, what was the principles of Veerashaivism. As I mentioned earlier, that I have 3 girls, and one of the things that I told them is, I don't care how, where, when, but you need to be able to stand on your own 2 feet and support yourself. Don't depend on me or my husband or your husband, because, no matter what happens, you should be able to do it. And having that education and experience, that's empowerment, because that's something nobody can take away from you, right? So that's the focus that I raised them. So, I'm glad to see that there's another person who thinks like that. So let me call on Ambika. I know you have, you as a doctor, you kind of had a physician, you had a different barriers or even challenges to go through when you started your career in the US? What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, thank you, Bhavani. It's an interesting, thing that we do it without thinking about it. But when you start to think about it, you realize so much. And that's because, I think coming from a Veerashaiva family has been an advantage because they are used to it. In fact, all the women in my family encouraged me, go ahead, do what you want to do, stay on your own feet. And I had a lot of encouragement from my mother, my grandmother. Even though they didn't go to college, they said, no, we want you going ahead. So I think as Veerashaiva women, we have an advantage over other people. And that's the fact that we have people in our families who are very encouraging, including my husband. In fact, I think he has taken a step back many times to let me go forward. So I think that's very great. Now, another thing I'd like to talk about is that women's empowerment, to me, isn't about making a woman strong. I think they're already strong. Inherently, we are all very, very strong. But I think it's about changing the way the world thinks about us. And many times it's a woman themselves. They think they can't do it, but we should empower them to say that, yes, you can do anything you want to, you set your mind to. You want to be a housewife and stay at home? Yes, you should be able to do it. You want to go to the moon? You should be able to do it. So I think that's where it should come from. And I think it's another important thing about leadership. Medicine, you see, is, to me, I think medicine is sort of an equalizer. I see a lot of women in medicine. I see a lot of men in medicine. But still, as a woman, especially as a brown immigrant woman, I have to be 10 times better than a man. Even an immigrant man coming from the same college as me, I had to be proven to prove myself much more than the other people to be taken seriously. But once you prove yourself, once you show that you're capable of doing things, that you stand by what you know, and you get the respect that you need, automatically it comes, and then it's set in stone, and I think nobody ever can take it away from you. So that's what I think. But and being a leader, it's very important, especially in your career. If you're a leader, one, you should be a team spirit, and two, never take credit for something someone in your team has done. Always give credit to the person in the team. I've seen this happen many times. We are brainstorming, I come up with an idea, and my boss takes the credit for it. So that's why I called him a boss. I didn't call him a leader, because he's not a leader, he's a boss. So it's happened many times. A leader is someone who guides the people below them, thinks about them, tells them this is the right path to do, while a boss is the one who says it's my way or no way. So it happened many times. So I've learned from that previous experience, and I always give credit to every single person in my team. I make them feel they're a valued member of the team, and that makes for a very good teamwork when we go forward.
So how do you respond to your boss at that point?
I think many times it's, you do what you have to do. And then it came down, and I can give you a story what exactly happened. It turned out that I had a grant, almost $250,000 grant from a company, because it was my idea for a research project. Started it, he took the credit for it. And when we went and sat with the team, and they wanted to know the nitty-gritty of it, he couldn't answer the question. So he turned to me and said, what do you think? I mean, you're the one who came up with it. And then everybody came to know that it was me who came up with the idea. And the nitty-gritty of it, he didn't bother to learn about it. And then it was, things like that. It comes out. So I think many times you don't need to do anything. You just do your job. You do what you're supposed to do. And that's it. It comes through very easily.
No, that's fantastic. I mean, I have experienced that myself in many, many ways.
Yes.
So let me bring in Anu. I know she's comes from a different path and a different career path, and she's in media. It's probably even more competitive in terms of men and women, and having the opportunity for development. So, what are your thoughts, Anu, in terms of what activities in your job has kind of led you for to be a successful leader within the media? Anu, are you there?
Yes, sorry, I was on a mute, didn't realize it. I was so intensely, listening to everybody, so impressive, talk, that I was kind of like carried away. Like I was like, oh my goodness, it is so amazing to hear from all of them. So, well, thank you for giving this opportunity to be on the panel with such a talented and amazing women, and hats off to all of them for, achieving such a great careers, and also being like managing the family and all that. And yes, you're absolutely right. This field is extremely competitive and very, very different than any other field that what we can think of. Like all that, just being a doctor was my first choice of profession. And I tried many times, even though I was able to make it, I couldn't do, I got in the first step, entered the door, but somehow before even I entered the next door, it was closed, and it happened a couple of times. And then that was an indication of just, say like, okay, so you are chosen for something else. So I want to just make a statement here as in women empowerment is, the first thing is the courage and believing in yourself and confidence. So that makes, us as women to become successful no matter which career that you enter, because the determination is extremely important regardless of the hurdles that we face. Because like Ambika mentioned, being a brown woman and also being in this field is, it takes a lot to get an attention. So women are the personification of, a creativity, knowledge and strength and more. So whether it's a kitchen, home, or a corporate boardroom, or even a laboratory, and we face, what we are so proud of is the COVID medicine, the vaccination is done by, one of the most well-known women. So I think that we have to give ourselves enough credit for that and for their contributions, whatever that is, sky is the limit, because we are determined to achieve that goal. So being in the media, what I've learned is the best way to climb the ladder is the better way of communication, networking, and also put your step forward with very precaution and careful with all the the expect hurdles, because this is a very different field. And like what they say, just one word that you said, it can go in 1,000 different direction and 1,000 different meaning, and also you are pointed a finger at, and it's really not easy. But at the same time, what I found value in this one is I can reach out to many community throughout the world globally, and I can deliver the message, make changes. So, coming from a very small town that is from North Karnataka, I know that I have not had many opportunities from, coming from there, because like all of you, I don't know. Yes, my parents were very strong believers in Veerashaivism, Lingayats, and Ling Puja and all that. We learned from very, very, young age. And, do these bhajan and all these things, like every week, one day we just sit and sing vachanas and all those. I learned everything from my mother growing up. So that is how it is an inspiring experience that even to share with our own kids, because our kids definitely ask why, when, how, all these questions before even they, follow, because we blindly said, if parents say that, okay, go do it. And then, yes, we had that, I don't know, blind faith or just our instinct, or it's like you're saying the right thing, but our kids are totally different generation. They don't do it. So that kind of a strength actually is helping us, apart from all the hurdles that what we are facing, whether it's a career, whether it's a, a work, home, education, any kind of a field, or even a solving issue. That really is a strong foundation of Veerashaivism, that what we grew up with, what it is that was taught before, that we come to, this married life, or even going forward as a successful, career woman. And to add to that one more thing is, a lot of women are globally underrepresented, and and they deserve the future that they should be represented in every single strong or a very important decisions that are made globally. And so that is what that we want to achieve. Empowerment is not that we want to shine everywhere, or we want to just come on the limelight, or we want to be recognized. It is about bringing ourselves the value. It is the future that needs to be given an equality, and also that recognize our power and also our contribution, something that equally we can stand up and say that, okay, this is like what I can do, and I will definitely will be successful in that. So that is what I just want to give the message.
Yeah, let me call. No, that's fantastic. It's just a different perspective. So let me call on Sangeeta. And I know you had to kind of start the business of, helping start a practice for your husband, without really much knowledge or experience in business. So what were some of the lessons that you learned that really kind of exemplified as a leader? Because when you're starting a business, you're your leader and your servant and your employee. How did that work out for you?
Put yourself, Sangeeta.
Sangeeta?
All right, yeah. Okay, so one of the things I realized was you can learn a lot from other people. You can have their opinion, you can get their advice, and but you have to make a decision based on your own conclusion. So you need to decide by first educating yourself in various ways, ask questions, get answers. If you're not quite happy with it, continue digging till you get your answers. And then you make a decision based on what you have learned, not what people are telling you. So that was one of the first thing that I had to learn was something that works for one person doesn't always work for the other person. So you have to figure out what works best for you and your situation. So, and then you, from there, and if necessary, you make changes to something that somebody else has done. And then you just continue adapting, and then you see where things are going in the future. You shouldn't be complacent with what you have right now. You should always be thinking into the future and see what next is going to happen and anticipate, and then be prepared for it.
Oh, that's great. Does anybody else have a different view on this? Ambika or Lakshmi?
Yeah, I can, narrate my, how I got into this accidental business. 20 years ago, if anybody had asked me, are you going to be a food writer, or are you going to be an entrepreneur or a published author, I would have just said, I would have laughed and said, hey, are you kidding? But today I am all three. And this actually happened just, just by chance. When we first came, we came to Columbus, Ohio, 35 years ago. And at that time, there was a request in the newspaper for cabbage rolls. And I remembered my mom and my sister making cabbage rolls with stuffed potatoes and spices, cilantro. So at that time, we didn't even have a computer or even a typewriter. And I simply hand wrote the recipe and I sent it to the editor. And she called me next day morning and she's like, whoa, this is really amazing recipe, because we have received several that are all stuffed with chicken or beef, and that's the Midwest, So she said, I'm going to publish this. And from there, it was no stopping at all. And I just continued as a passion and as a hobby. I had no idea what I was getting into. And after that, I started, by the time we moved to California, I had over 200 recipes published there. I contacted the San Francisco Chronicle, and the food editor here, Michael Bauer, he gave me an opportunity. He literally opened the doors for me. Every time I sent in some, recipes, and my recipes always had a story behind it. I made it much more, creative. All my grandmother's stories, my own stories coming here, innovating, doing something new and different. So those were really very unique for him, and the readers would really love and enjoy. And so from there, it led me to writing my cookbooks, and that too came as another opportunity. The John Wiley and Sons editor called me and she said, usually I don't sign up with any authors on one-on-one meeting, but today I'm going to have you, write a book for me. So I took it as a greatest opportunity, and I started doing that, and so the book was, did really well. In the meantime, I was producing some at home, some spicy nuts, and people encouraged me to produce, those. Packaging something, business side, I had absolutely no idea. But I started those as well. And the store started calling me and telling me that your products are flying off the shelf and we need more. So that way, so it continued. And I was making these sandwiches for my children's school lunches, spread with organic flaxseed spreads. And their friends would often trade their turkey sandwiches to our sandwiches. And the moms would often call me and tell, you should package this for everyone. That was a difficult one. However, I did it. I joined the Specialty Food Association. It's a huge organization for trade shows. There, as a rookie, I got an award as the Outstanding Product of the Year. And that one took me to a totally different level. And I won several awards. And, even the San Francisco Super Bowl committee. And I was the recipient of Google Tuck education. So all these things really helped me greatly. So even, I produced some products for Costco. We got approved for Walmart. You have to be unique. You have to be very different in what you do. And
differentiation is a big deal.
Yeah, you can create a tikka masala or something, but creating something really very unique and tasty, again, healthy, just the way what I eat, I like to give it to my own consumers. And so that has really helped me a great deal. In fact, the buyers call me and, I keep in touch with them. So that's a great thing. Usually for small businesses, it's really hard. Yes.
That is fantastic. I think VSNA should have like a Shark Tank pitch day or something, so then people can come up with all these ideas. I'm sure everybody has ideas. It's really kind of getting that encouragement, locally or from however you get that. That's awesome. So Ambika, I was just curious if you, who do you look for inspiration and mentorship? I mean, yours is like, as a physician, do you look for other physicians or regular people?
I think it's a little different. So you think, like most of the, like Lakshmi was saying, she fell into it accidentally. But me, I was deliberate. I knew my focus. I knew what I wanted to do since I was a kid. So I had a talk with my dad and I told him, this is what I want, because my dad was very much interested in me going into computers. He said, computers are the future. I want you to go into it. But I told him, no, that's not what I want. So I was maybe like in early high school when I told him, this is what I want. And that was it. He just helped me to get to where I want to be. So everything was focused. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what I want to do next. I wanted to be a physician. But when I came to internal medicine, I wasn't sure what I wanted to be. In fact, my endocrinology was my first choice. And people told me, don't go into endocrinology. It's an obsolete profession. Nobody is going to even come to you. But right now, it's the topmost. It's one of the most things. And we don't have enough endocrinologists. People are dying. We get offers even now every day. So for me, it was a well-honed path. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I knew exactly, and I just followed it. And I didn't want to be a private practitioner. I wanted to be in academics. I wanted to teach. Teaching is my passion, and I really wanted to be in a situation where I could teach. And so that's what I got. And I went after what I wanted, and I got what I wanted. So that's where I am.
So what would you recommend or suggest to the budding physicians?
I'm telling you, it's easy to do what you want to do, especially in this country. You have enough people to contact. And I think you should be bold. One of the things that I noticed people coming from India is they hesitate to ask for help. Like how, so I think Supriya is sort of the little, one end of the spectrum where she went after what she wanted, but not many people, they are sort of hesitate to ask for help. But I think everybody is willing to do it. I myself, for the past 18 to 20 years, I have helped so many people from Karnataka I give them letters when they need it. I put them to the right channels. I think it's important that you give back, and you also, so I think you know how you need to contact the people. You need to be bold. You need to go after what you want. Otherwise, you're going to stay behind. So that's important to understand.
That's fantastic guidance. So Supriya, you were talking about the pay difference, and how did you overcome that, or did you have issues in understanding that as you started your career here in the U.S.?
Yes, I would say like the work permit was a big roadblock initially, right? So I would take anything that came my way. Honestly, I wasn't even seeking a good pay. I wanted a break in the corporate world. And it was a bit of a struggle because IT contracting is not an easy and healthy space, right? There's a lot of exploitation. So it took me a while to wait patiently. And like Ambika was saying, make a mark, work hard. That was my motto all along. And it's something my parents have taught me all along, that there is no seconding the fact that hard work is the way to go. Kaya Kave Kailasa, we've all heard it time and again. So when I made a mark at work, that's when I had a permanent job with JP Morgan. And I haven't been privy, honestly, to if there is bias between in the pay scale between men and women. But what I know is it's like I was saying, a colleague just advised me that get to know how your colleagues are performing who have similar skill sets. Get to know your own worth in the market by going out there. And it's always good to read up and see what you're lacking, what's the latest in the industry trends, what can get you up there to have the latest and cutting edge job, if you can call it that. And the other thing I also notice is we're always over ambitious. We want to be compensated well, but at the same time, we don't pay that much attention to how the company is performing. So for example, the financial numbers, has my particular unit fared well? And if we have, then it's fair and just to go back and question as to why compensation was not fair enough, comparatively maybe. But we all know that this is not always divulged and we don't get to see others' numbers. But I think it's good to be abreast of how the company is performing, how individually we are performing, what could we do better. So these are the reality checks I would really enforce.
I've been in the corporate world pretty much all my career, right? And I have been a mentor and I've been a mentee several times. You're always learning from each other. One of the things that, my mentors were told me is to don't underestimate what you don't know. Don't underestimate that you can't do something. You always go after what you want and you can always learn once you get there. It's that getting that approach. In terms of the pace things, I think one of the suggestions that I've given my mentees is to really understand your strength and then go and look at the job descriptions for each of those jobs that they are aspiring to get into. And you can go to places like glassdoor.com or something where you can actually see what company they're paying, what education, what experience you have. It really, it might not be 100% accurate, but it gives you a ballpark figure as to what you can kind of estimate and go with that figure in mind. So that's really helpful. All right. So have we gotten any questions from any audience at this point? I
Yes,
kind of want to get to the next topic.
Bhavani, we do have few questions. So do you like to?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Jyoti is saying, is Dasoha part of women empowerment? In what way it played a role in your life?
That's a great question, Jyoti, but we are getting to that. If you can hold on for 2 more minutes, or if volunteering is something that is on our list of topics. So we will get to that in a minute once we kind of get through a couple other topics. Do you have any other questions that's kind of working on career development or anything like that?
Yeah. What have you sacrificed both personally and professionally at each stage of your career?
Fantastic question. Who wants to take that?
That was from me.
Oh, that's me.
I think, can I say that when my husband decided to start his practice, I had to put my career, and I was in computer science, on hold. And that was a decision. It wasn't an easy decision to make, but then I decided that was something that I needed to do. That way I could work, at the same time be available to go, take children for their after school activities, or, be available if something was happening. So I did put my career on hold in order to manage my husband's practice, start my husband's practice, and go there. So that's a sacrifice I made.
How about you, Jayanti? What did you? I know you were talking about earlier about putting a kid in daycare. What other sacrifices did you have to do to kind of pursue your scientist career?
Please unmute, Jayanti.
No, I think it doesn't say.
Yeah, you're good now. We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So that was my, I think, first sacrifice towards my career, actually, because I had to put my little daughter in the daycare to be able to pursue my career. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all. So, but one thing I was happy about is because the lab I was working was on the 4th floor and my daughter's daycare was on the basement in the same building. So that helped me a lot. But still, I missed, playing with her every single minute of her, anything. So that's one of the sacrifices I think I keep thinking about. Oh, I missed it. That's all. And there are other things, but I think that was my biggest sacrifice.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you. Ambika, you must have had a different type.
Oh my God, yes. It's a very good question. I think I gave up a lot of my child's first 5 years of life, because when I was training, obviously I couldn't do it. But there's a silver lining to that cloud. The silver lining is that my parents took care of him. And even today, Aji and Tata are his favorites. So I think the connection they had with my parents, he has with my parents, it's outstanding. And it's really, I don't think if I wasn't in medicine and they wouldn't take care of him, that would not be there. And I think that is the silver lining to the little cloud. Plus, I had who was there for every aspect of their childhood, that's an advantage of his career. I still remember when he was in 6th grade, that was my final year of fellowship. I did not go to a single meeting with his school meetings, and I could never make it. And my husband would make it to all the meetings, to the extent that when I went to the last one, end of school year, I finally I somehow begged half a day off and I went. And then the principal came up to me and said, "I'm so glad you're here. We were about to ask your husband whether Vaishak, my son, is adopted. The reason being, my son looks exactly like me, has no connection, doesn't look like Ravi, and they thought he was adopted. And they were about to ask Ravi, is this boy adopted? Is it your son?" So when they saw me, they said, "Oh, now we know whom he resembles." So that made me realize that it's really, I need to be more active. So that was after 6th grade. And I sort of finished my training, and then I've been able to take time off and be in every single aspect of his life. And as a physician, women physicians, we were all given a questionnaire talking about what we did for our kids. And you could see the low scores we all got. And some of us just looked at each other in our thing and said, "Oh, this is really bad." And then finally, I think there was an older woman who sat us all down and said, "Okay, what are your kids doing now?" And she said that, "See, it really didn't matter. I think your kids took certain principles from the way you worked hard, and see, all your kids are in the right path right now." So I think there's an advantage and disadvantage to both. I think my son was inspired. When I was a fellow, I used to make him sit with me. He used to be doing his homework. I used to be doing my PowerPoint presentations. I used to give it to him saying, "Animate it for me while I go cook for you." So I think there's an advantage, there's a disadvantage. I made it work. And so far it hasn't come back to bite me. So hopefully I've done something good with him. And he's right now, my son's in the right career path, and everything else. And I think you know him, Bhavani. So you know
Yeah,
him.
I know. He's fantastic. You know, that reminds me, you know, even when my mom encouraged me, is like, you know, don't sit at home, go to work. You have worked hard to study. And she goes, I'll take care of the kids, you go. So in some ways I was lucky from that standpoint, but yet you do miss out all those, you know, the school volunteering and all that. But again, luck has it, I worked, my job was only 15 minutes away. So every time I had an opportunity to volunteer, I would run to the school and do reading or whatever volunteering for that half an hour and go back to work. So, you know, I did that quite often, at least until they didn't want me anymore in high school. So yeah, it's very important to kind of be part of them. And I also agree with your point about today they are who they are because they say, we watched you, Amma. We watched how you operate. And it makes a difference. You know, it's really understanding. So Priya, how do you kind of, now that you have younger kids, how do you balance that?
Yeah, so I have a couple of personal stories to share. One is my mother's. So my mom was 18 when she got married. And when we talk about sacrifices, I think I want to highlight both sides of it. One where I have been on the receiving side with my mother working, and did I really feel neglected? So I remember as a 5-year-old taking my mother, dropping her off to college with my dad, where she did her bachelor's in arts with me alongside. And then she took correspondence in law. She finished law when I think I was in 5th grade. And then she went on to practice in the High Court. So for me, she was there when I was little, but then when I was of good age where I could be like little bit independent, she was in the High Court in Bangalore practicing. So my father had a lot of sacrifices. She made a lot of sacrifices with me, but then she strived hard, and that was a classic example for me to emulate. And then this is while a woman's sacrifice is concerned. I also want to talk a little bit about my husband, Amit Kadargi, who I met at work in Bangalore, right? And with him, it was a fabulous friendship that turned into marriage, very much cherished by one and all. Both families enjoyed the wedding. And then the next thing I know is I wanted to study here in United States, and he was already working as an IT professional. So both very driven and ambitious people in the prime of their careers, but he put me ahead of himself. And it's something that I cherish very much to this day. It's always on his mind to go back to a B school and complete his degree, but there hasn't been one moment where he's not any proud of me than I have been myself. Put me ahead, encouraged me to go get my degree, financially supported me. We came out of the educational loans, made a mark in our careers, and thankfully God's blessings flourishing well. And then, Rishi came along. So that was another sacrifice where I had to make. So it's like the tables turn. It's a revolving door. When Rishi came along, I really wanted to take a break and spend time with him. But it was my mom who actually said, look, quitting is always there. Why don't you try a good daycare, and see if it works? If it works, it's a win-win. If it does not, then you can always resign from your job and get back to your child. So she was the one who pushed me out of the house. She said, get back to work. As long as I'm here, I'll look after Rishi. And then, let's try out the daycare option. So it takes a village, like they say, for it to click. I think I have been very blessed and lucky. So sometimes I have sacrificed, sometimes I have benefited from the sacrifices of my family members, but it's been it's give and take, and it's very blissful to be a part of it all.
You're absolutely right. I think it does take a village, because being part of the VSNA actually has helped in many ways, right? Most of us, some of the things that we don't have to worry about teaching them, because I'm like, hey, they'll learn at VSNA, so it's okay. So let me call on Anu in terms of maybe work-life balance. I know you, when we had chatted, you talked about working with people in India, all across the country, all across the world, I should say, and kind of maintaining that lifestyle, it's still that work-life balance with the huge amounts of time differences.
Yes. Thank you, Bonnie. Before even I answer your question, I want to share just a quick, the follow-up on what the previous one was. The being an inspiration and sacrifice. I think we all have our moms in a very different way of, guiding us in a very successful way. I just want to share a quick experience of mine. Being sacrificed doesn't just start for a woman after marriage or before marriage, because I want to share a quick my life experience with my mother. My mother suffered from a very severe psoriasis, which is it's a rare disease in India, which probably a lot of people will not accept it as a very pleasant thing. So even being said that the patient will suffer severely with the pain that they go through, and the day-to-day activities are extremely hard for them sometimes because of their, the dryness of the skin and, the condition that it causes for them, the uncomfortable, discomfort. So, but one thing that the reason that I'm bringing this one is because the strength, the principles that we learn. So she always used to tell us, because we used to feel very nervous and afraid, and also, we used to be scared and say, what is happening? And then she would say something, probably at that time we never understood. She said, the pain is happening to the so-called Devalaya, which is our body. The soul is still free and it's happy, and you can do anything you want with that one. So if you pay too much attention to that, then you probably will ruin everything that is good in life. So pay less attention to that and more attention to what's important, what is really that you can do with with the blessing that's given to you. So at that time, we never understood what it means. But as we grew, then, grew up as an adult, and then it made so much sense, because that is how she was my inspiration. When I actually got my first achievement of getting in an opportunity to medical school because of her, the health. I would not call that as a sacrifice. I would definitely call as a blessing that I got an opportunity to save someone that I the value the most. So she is my inner strength, and and taught me how to stay calm in a very panicky situations, and how to handle things with determination, and so such things really helped me in making what I am, like work and also the personal life balances. It is very difficult. It is sometimes and when the kids are young, you lose sleep, and you're also young and you just can afford that one. But at the same time, I highly recommend that we have to give ourselves some time and to balance it. Because if you overwork yourself, either you take it on your family, kids, or somewhere else, because it has to come out. It's a human nature. And to do that, I think you find yourself something called what is a stress buster for you, what you really enjoy. Give yourself some time so that you can actually equally give a justification to your work as well as your personal life. And for example, for me, my stress buster is music. And I think I like to sing, whether, whether someone like it or not, I like it. And I perform, I record, I replay it. It is something that you enjoy, that will give you inner peace. And it's like, you should feel like, okay, this is what is real. And I also find a very, my happiness in talking to, I do some volunteer counseling. I should not say counseling, I should say friendly advice, I should say, because people are really interested in talking to you because there's so many things that they cannot talk to. So either your family, friends, or even someone that you're very close with. So one-on-one, sometimes I do anonymously, I just do share some of these things that, I listen. That's that is what I do. I listen. And then if they need any suggestions or recommendations, then I connect with right people so that they can get better help. And then, just guide them to the right person is also sometimes helps. And that also is one of my stress busters. So I feel that, okay, I did something good today. So, the important thing is making yourself a very determined, like the schedule that you have to reserve that time for yourself, regardless of what. That is your time. No matter what happens, nobody should take it away from you, because as long as you give that kind of a time for yourself, I think you can balance your work and personal life successfully.
You're absolutely right. I think, even thinking about my own, career, being in marketing, I traveled a lot. I traveled internationally. Mm-hmm. And without my husband's support of like, don't worry, I'll take care of the kids, you go, so yeah, that's so important, having that, the network of support, yes. Not just, from the family, but also others.
Yeah, and family is also very important, because I think they, as a mother, that your kids need you, your husband need you, that you're the key, for everything. It's like even small things that without asking, mom, where is this, where is that, where did I keep this, so the life doesn't go on. So I think that you also have to give yourself to many. So that is why I wondered, now we have so many hands and so many faces.
Absolutely. So you bring up a good point about making time for yourself. So that's our next topic. So Ratna, you started a new conversation or a topic, which is great. Do you have any other questions before we move on to making time for ourselves? Okay. So, Lakshmi, I know you are an avid yoga practicer and in yoga and a jogger, runner. You're a fitness freak. So what can you tell us about making time for ourselves? How with the career, with children, with not forgetting the home stuff, right? Cooking and cleaning and everything else. How do you make time for yourself, even if it is an hour or so for your health and fitness?
Thank you. That's a great question, Bhavani. And first of all, I should say, Anu, thanks for that very powerful story behind, So yeah, we have to be, like we always say, love yourself, or, do something for yourself. There is that me time you have to give to your own self. And, career is there, work is there, children are there, grandkids are there, everything is there. But how do you balance all of that is always, make at least some little time for yourself. I do, first thing is I'm really addicted to walking. So I've been walking since almost, I would say, 40 years now. And yoga also. Each time I go to India, I ask something new from, I learned something new from my dad. He teaches me so many new things. So you have to, I kind of give my time. So morning time is as soon as I wake up, it's time for making, gratitude, some prayers, and just a very short meditation. I don't even look at my phone or anything. First thing I do is to sit there and, say all your, be thankful, be grateful for everything you have. So those are the things that I do in the morning.
We really need to kind of make sure that you follow through and on your own.
Oh, yes. And so that starts your day. And then it's the hot water with lemon and, from the garden. So I kind of have my own routine and I stick to that. And of course, Linga Puja, even, every time I do, my grandkids are so fascinated and they also have learned a lot. So, we kind of, I share with them, they sing some much vachanas, when the five-year-old. So making time is very important to keeping a very healthy lifestyle, and eating healthy too. There are really these are something that many of us don't do, is to read the labels, and we are not aware that sugar is the culprit. In the food world, we all foodies know that the very first three ingredients, if you find sugar in the first three listed ingredient, that means it is a dessert. It's not a cereal. It's not, an entree or a side dish. But if you see wheat, like in a cereal, wheat, sugar, and other ingredients, that means I term it as sugar and just not even purchase that kind of a product. Corn syrup, fructose corn syrup, you want to stay away from these. So always read labels so that you are aware of what you're putting into your own body. And first thing is make time for yourself. Just sit, relax for at least 10 minutes in the day, and think through, and just not worry about anything. Keep your phone aside, the computer aside, and that will take you really, all day you'll be fit and you will do really well.
Yeah, no, that's a great advice. I know I kind of stick to my hobbies, and I enjoy gardening, and I go spend, even if it's 5-10 minutes, looking at my plants, how they're doing, what's happening with them, or even going for a workout with at the Orange Theory. So that's the one that my daughter kind of encouraged me to join. So which has been extremely helpful, because I can feel the energy, that I have more energy to work on. So
yeah, it's very calming. It's very calming when you look at the plants, the plants, and then your own hobbies. Also, we have to make some time for ourselves. And but fitness too is you don't have to do the strenuous exercises, but at least try to go walk for 30-40 minutes, and in the fresh air, be one with nature. I don't even use those podcasts or listen to any audio. I just like, without anything else. So when many of my friends ask me, do you listen to the podcast or listen to any audio? I said, no, I don't like to be disturbed with anything in my ears. I just prefer to just walk in the nature, look at the birds. That really, helps me be one with nature.
So Jayanti, what do you do now with your that medical center must be a pretty busy place, and do you find time for yourself?
So my time starts early in the morning. That's me time. And I'm drinking my first cup of coffee. It's me time. I don't want to do anything. I want to enjoy, there and enjoy my first cup of coffee. And that keeps me going throughout the day also. So, and I enjoy going for a walk and all, but I cannot do it every day, because my schedule starts from like 7:30 in the morning, and I come home after 7 a lot of time. So I don't have a lot of time during weekdays, but I do go for a walk on weekends, and watch some of my favorite shows, meaning like I like to learn. I like ancient history. So I watch the History Channel. And also I'm also interested in space science. I would love to know what's happening on Mars, and how does it look there? If people go there, are they able to live? Those type of things. So I tune into those channels as well. Those are my favorite way of having me time. And also the other thing is, I think one suggestion for people to have more of me time is like, don't get involved in too many, activities. You only buy and chew. So please keep yourself some time. So that way, learn to say, that's it.
It's a very good advice. Absolutely. So learning to say no is not in our inherently, it's not in us. We always want to help people every time they ask. So let me call on, before we go to the next topics, Ambika and Supriya, because I know you both also with children, Supriya, and then with Ambika's work style. How do you make time for yourselves?
I know that's very interesting. As I know, as Jayanti was saying, it's very difficult sometimes. But I was just realizing that I also need to practice what I'm preaching. So I preach. I tell my patients, take time. You need 15 minutes for yourself. Take some time for yourself. But I wasn't doing it. So I realized about 10 years ago that I need to do this. So the first thing I did was I modified my work habits. So I was not letting anything go long. I wouldn't procrastinate. I would start doing things. I noticed that my quality of work actually got better when I planned it way ahead of time. And so that gave me also the confidence to say, oh, everything's taken care of. All my deadlines are being met. So go and take some time for yourself. So I started taking an hour for myself. And the most important thing I did was I communicated this need to both my family, my husband and my son. And I told them, this is what I need. And I want you guys to respect this part. And they did. They said, yes. And I don't think the 60 minutes, there's nothing in they can't wait for 60 minutes unless someone's dying. Okay, that's a different thing altogether. But when you have the time, I think we need to do it. I noticed a lot of difference in my physical health and my mental health when I started doing this. I think in the long run, it's going to be helpful for the family. It's going to be helpful for everyone else. So I think we need to take care of ourselves. As South Asian women, we fall into the traditional rule and we are the last in the priority list. So we always say kid first, husband first. So I think we also have to start of thinking about self-time, me time. And I think there was one of my patients who actually was talking about this and gave me a quote, which I thought was really very nice. I don't know, he got it from the internet apparently. And he told me, I don't ride my bike to add days to my life. I ride my bike to add life to my days. So I was thinking, if we take time off, we can do both. We can probably add days to our life, at the same time, add life to our days. And, that's very important. I think also very important that it doesn't have to be a set thing. It can be what you want. Maybe I just want to sit on the deck for 1 hour. Absolutely. That's it. I'll do that when I want to do it. So that's what I realized, that we have to think about every aspect. The kids will be there. The husband will be there. There's many things still waiting. Deadlines are still waiting. Meetings are still waiting. But take the 60 minutes for yourself. And that's my policy.
Because once you lose it, you don't get it.
Exactly. I know. Exactly. And more importantly, the health issues. You don't want to develop health issues. It's better to prevent them. And that's what you need. You need your mental health and you need your physical health. Mental health is more, I think, and that's how you actually keep yourself physically also very healthy.
That's great. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How do you do it with your kids?
So for me, it's not a daily thing. I'll be honest. If I'm able to carve out even a few hours for myself in a week, I would think of it as an accomplishment. With young children, it's a big balancing act, and Amit and I usually try to take over alternately, and that gives us some personal time. Lately, like Ambika was saying, we have to do this. It's a must to keep sane and to keep going. It's in the interest of the others in the family too, that we are sound health-wise, mentally, and all of that. Something that I want to make a special mention of here is my husband and I have been trying to refrain from using the cell phone. We realized we are hooked to it so much that there's aimless browsing, there's social media. So lately, we have put restrictions on the hours in a week or a day that we want to use the cell phones, significantly reduced social media and aimless browsing too. So that's given us a huge amount of time and me time as well, from which I'm able to carve out some portion and do things that I like. Currently, my parents are with us, so it's even more quality time with them. I'm glad we are taking these small steps to advance ourselves in our own strides.
That's fantastic. So let me stay with you, Supriya. I kind of want to go to the next topic of raising Veerashaiva kids in North America, because it's, most of us here on the panel, except you, we have probably kind of a little bit grown children. So we have kind of passed through that already, but we have different challenges today. But what are you doing to kind of make sure that Veerashaiva, philosophy or that culture stays with raising your kids?
Sure. So my children, Rishi and Dhyana. Rishi is 8 years old and Dhyana is 5 years old. They perform Ishtalinga Puja every day, and they wear the linga around their necks. They were initiated when they were 1 year old, both of them. And since then, I have made it a part of their lives. So it does not seem very unusual to them that they're doing something different that few other kids here may not be doing. Their Linga Puja is very simple. I haven't kept it very elaborate. Simple, it's easy for them to follow. It's Vibhuti, doing the Linga Puja with a few vachanas, and meditation just for a minute or so. It's quick, and they have incorporated it into their daily lives. They also periodically learn vachanas. This is something that I fondly remember as a child getting from my father, the stories of Basavana, and learning from all that I've tried to impart to them. So when they learn a vachana, it's not just reciting it. So if one is reciting, the other tends to understand the meaning and explain. So this is something that we have been doing since COVID broke out, actually, and made videos, uploaded them to YouTube. And when folks see it, relatives, friends, they applaud the kids. The kids feel really good about it because they feel they're famous. It's kind of funny for them. It's that everyone's complimenting it. They like the feeling of feeling appreciated. But for me, in some way, shape, or form, I have made my own step in explaining the meaning behind it. It's explaining the essence behind it. And then from there on, it also sparks a conversation about, okay, tell me more about Basavana. So who wrote this again? And they have all these questions. And then with that,
it builds curiosity.
Yes, it's curiosity. It's also the best thing about Virashaiva tenets are they are simple, they're universal, they're timeless, and it's profound, it's rich, it's applicable in today's times too. So I am able to give examples like discrimination, empathy, compassion, and even the power of prayers. We are able to instill in them through these tenets that we have. And honestly, for me, I think it's twofold. One is making my children very strong and give them that foundation, rich foundation. Second, I also feel the next generation, that's the millennials or the Generation Z, I feel they are torch bearers in a way for our culture. They have to do their bit in taking this forward. So I just don't see them as children who need this, but children who will propagate this. Which is why there's a lot of emphasis in my family, right from my parents, my in-laws, husband, myself, all of us make sure it's not overwhelming for them. We try to take care of that as well because it could backfire sometimes. But we try to have that balance too, that there is a bit of the best of both worlds, but we keep the messaging and the learnings consistent.
No, that's very important. I know, I have got 3 girls, so they're all grown up now, but now it's a different type of challenges, not in the sense that they don't believe in Virashaivism, but it's really like, how do I use that for my daily life? It's not just doing puja and all this, but everything you talk about, the philosophy. So there's a lot of other panelists here that have a little bit grown children. How did you, who can, any one of you can jump in and kind of talk about, as they got older, how receptive were they to accepting and following the values, the Virashaiva values?
I go, Fadi? Okay,
Yes,
I have two older daughters, and yes, since from 6 years old or 5 that I've gotten them involved in VSNA community. So I want to emphasize a couple of things here, why it is happening, or maybe why, I don't know if we all make the same mistake, because even in the business forum, that was the question, that why our older kids do not get involved as they grow older, and they just, they were so active when they were young. I think like what, Supriya said, that, when they were young, it is very easy to tell them, and, we have our own way to convey the message, very in their own different, stories or creativity. But when they grow older, I think they have their own way of learning, because they become either young adults or completely like on their own as a complete adults. So what I feel is you actually keep talking, whether they listen or not. Just, like, because when it comes through either like, left to right all the time, and most of the kids just watch you doing it, and that is the one of the most effective way of teaching. And also let them just, put a little bit of a effort in making them just, observe you what you do. And also, like, and eventually one or the other questions will pop out, like, why are you doing this one? And it sounds really, either they say like, oh, it is kind of a weird tradition, like, why do we do this? Even though they ask, surprisingly that kind of questions, I think patiently we should answer them and just tell them that, okay, this is how it is. When we are able to teach them the value and how different it is, and how they can actually get a benefit as they go through the so-called life, then different challenges, and something that unexpected happens, and how much strength that it is going to give you to support you to be a very strong person in life. And I feel that, like, we should not pressure them. We should not make a deal with them. We should make something that is, and as a young adult, and like being a complete adult, we should say, okay, so this is an open book, and this is how it is, and this is how I got it from my parent, and this is what is helping me, and let them make their own decision. When you try to pressurize them and you say like, you must do it and you have to do it, and so what happens is, I think they kind of like, they listen to you, but they also kind of like, start ignoring that, because it becomes a little bit of a annoyance for them, because instead of learning, they start kind of like, okay, I will listen to you, but it doesn't matter whether I learn or not. So I think it's very normal in any teenage or even adults. So I've noticed some of those things, like when they're young, there is another thing that matters the most. When in a VSNA, they have a lot of their own age kids. They do activities, they have fun. See, more than anything, they eat together. They have like, some scrumptious food reason, or something like a meeting a friend, exciting thing, or just going out on a play date. So those can hold them together. And when they becomes a little bit older, and maybe they have in the same college or same class, or they have the same group or the age, and that can hold. But when they become like, scattered in, when after they go to the college, their careers, there is nothing for them to really hold that bonding. So for that, I think this base that what we put them in may just, come in handy, and then eventually they start understanding. And I know they get really busy with their career and no time for all of this. But if we really try a little bit of things that, okay, what it is and why you need it, and they might just come around after a little while, and they just, give you a good reason to be part of it completely.
I mean, I agree with you, but I also have a slightly different point of view. Is the only thing is, I'd like to kind of see things from their point of view too. It's why they're saying, I mean, maybe it's not different. It's just a little bit more enhanced. What you're saying is to can understand from their point of view. Because if you don't, because they are exposed to so many things in school and colleges that we're only seeing, from our little vision, but the Virashaiva way, but they are looking at it from every angle, from every aspect, and from every country. So kind of, I think it's important to kind of look at it from their angle too, so that we can understand why they say the way they do, right? So to kind of add on to your comment. So does anybody else have anything else to add to that?
Sure, I can take that. I agree with you, Bhavani. At first, it looked very difficult for me. Oh, two cultures, American outside the home, and they have to be Virashaivas inside the home. But later on, as the years started, to pass by, we had they were doing everything, the puja, the putting vibhuti, and they used to go to school with the vibhuti on when they were very little. And so their friends would ask, what's that chalk on your head? So they would come home and say, Mom, they're asking me. I said, don't worry about it. Even as they grew up, when my son Kedar went to school, he called and he's like, on Tuesdays, I have a norm that we should all fast at home and be vegetarian all day. And so he called me one day and he's like, there is nothing else available here. Is it okay if I eat, some chicken or some food? So I said, don't worry about it. You can do what is best for you. If you're hungry, you can go ahead and eat. So yeah, like as Anu mentioned, not to force them to do anything. And they learn, they learn. So all the basic foundation that I created at home, and then now they are on their own when they went to college. Even my son, when he went to MIT, he started taking classes on Indian classical music, or so many other things. So they still do all of that, even though now they're grown up, and they now tell their own kids also that go put your vibhuti, and my 2-year-old puts vibhuti even on the nanny. Sometimes.
No, that's great advice.
Foundation.
Yeah.
Bhavani, I want to add just one more thing. So something that's really worked well for us with the kids is every trip to India is incomplete without visiting and seeking the blessings of one of the Swamijis. Be it Shantalingeshwar Swamiji, Jadai Shantalingeshwar Swamiji, who I wrote the book on. We usually do Linga Pujas with him, Suttur Swamiji and Siddheshwar Swamiji, if they're available based on their convenience. So always what they've seen here, learned here, heard from them, they're able to resonate with it when they see it in real back home. And the philanthropic work and the Veerashaiva Lingayat saints, everybody has that reinforcement in a way when we are back there seeing it in person. So that's a tradition we've always maintained since the kids were born, and even before, because we were all spiritually inclined. But that helps us sustain what we've been teaching.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree with you in terms of every time we go to India, that makes a difference, kind of learning that, adding on what you haven't actually learned. So I kind of want to go to the next topic. I know we have about 10 minutes left, a little over 10 minutes. So I kind of want to go into volunteering. I know Sangeeta does a lot of volunteering. So if you want to share making time for it and really making that connection for you to volunteer. So what do you get out of that?
There's a very good quotation I read. It says, there is nothing that harvests more of a feeling of empowerment than being of service to someone in need. So we generally think that when it's volunteering, it's about, going and doing something for a couple of hours, getting a certificate which says, and that's what's taught in the school. You need to do so many hours of community service.
Right.
That's how you build up your resume. But to me, volunteerism is not about padding your resume. It's about what you can do to help somebody else. Doesn't have to be necessarily somebody less fortunate than you, or somebody who necessarily needs financial support. It's about the time that you give to somebody else. Mm-hmm. So if you can help even one person with whatever problems or something that they are going through, you get a feeling that, okay, at least I made somebody's life a little bit better. Whether that makes a difference in the long run to the world, to me, doesn't matter. Right. So it is putting yourself selflessly to anybody who needs help. Of course, helping somebody less fortunate than you is great. But a lot of the times I hear from people, oh, I would love to do it, but I don't have time.
You have to make time.
Yes. So, and another very good quotation is, it's not about how much time you have. It's whether you have the heart. If you have the heart, you find the time to volunteer.
Yeah, that's a good connection.
Yeah. So, for me, it is something that I can continue to do whenever I want to do it. If I have something, if I'm busy, fine. But whenever I have time, if anything that needs to be done, anybody needs help, all my friends know that. If they need help, I'm available to help in any ways. And then in addition to that, I make sure that I have set aside a time for myself to go help somewhere, volunteer somewhere else. And I work my schedule around it so that I make sure that I have that time.
Fine. Absolutely. Absolutely. Anu, I know you have done a lot of volunteer work too in various different ways, from finding volunteers for donation for the bone marrow and other things. What can you tell us about that?
Bhavani, volunteering, it's like my view is more than giving. I think we also get a lot out of it. Like getting involved in the organization, we might be helping just a few hours there, but amount of experience, for example, that any of these big organizations that we work, it teaches you so much, like a team building, because you don't have to get it by just a job, and that is a great experience. And a team playing, that is very important for kids who are feeling introverts and also like not comfortable, going out and reach out, and networking and communication skills, especially like how to say what at the right time, the right place. And those are all that by observing the other person who is leading or guiding. So that is also one of the biggest advantage of volunteering. And more than anything, I think volunteer should be without an expectation, like Basava say, like what you do with the right hand should not be found by the left and the other way around. So that is how we should be doing our work. So no matter what you do, don't ever have any expectation, and that without even you asking, it will give you so much of the blessing back. Currently I'm serving as the regional awareness ambassador for a state of Texas. And what it does is, it is an organization called Save Alive. And we are encouraging all young, the Asian Indians to go ahead and register themselves as a bone marrow donor, because I think our probability or the rate is extremely low. The percentage is low for the donors. And I think this one is like, 1 in 20,000 match, and also ethnicity. There are a lot of things that matters. And being a clinical background that I was trained to just, bring and train the, other volunteers to do the campaigning. So I'm deeply involved in that. And we have 14 chapters, and I do presentations for all of them and encourage all like university kids and then also the high school kids to get involved in that.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah. And also, like, because that gives them some kind of like looking at the different aspect, or like, whoever is going through that, because a lot of young patients do have that disease, and that is a very heartbreaking for parents to just to even think about it. The next one is, like in a local organizations, like VSNA itself is a great opportunity for, like we do every year, like so-called dasoha or giving, in food banks. So it teaches. Yes, it teaches you something that's in a different way, but you can still do it regardless of which way it is. And then like, and language organizations. So you can go ahead and say like, okay, see, there is no such thing as South or North. Any organization that gives you an opportunity, be there and just learn their culture, teach your culture, and just enjoy it. And that will give you a lot of power of networking. So I'm also involved in many organizations in North and South. I think that work that I do also is a blessing, because it gave me an opportunity to get involved many like languages, and even the the Asian country organization like a Chamber of Commerce, like all the political organizations and things like that. So we see a very different views and people's, the style of thinking and what, what to expect. And, the things really, really give you a different experience by getting involved in volunteering.
Yeah, I know. I mentioned earlier that I was involved in HBA, which is
Yes.
a nonprofit organization,
Yes.
and we had a lot of people in our organization, but the entire organization run by volunteers. So we would, when I would invite people to join and recruit people, that was my motto. It's like, it's a sandbox. You can do whatever you want. You can learn. You can experiment, and nobody will judge you. That's what this volunteering is about, right? It's just an opportunity to do that you couldn't do in your current job. So
Right.
take advantage of it.
Absolutely. And you involved in Navika also, like, how big of an organization that is. And then, like when they offered me to take the biggest volunteering to run the convention, that was a very scary thing for me. But, like we really did it and successfully. And that is an achievement and learned a lot.
Learned a lot. Absolutely. Okay, great. So we have great conversations going on, and I have 3 minutes to talk about the next topic, but I know Sangeeta and Jayanti and whoever else who wants to add on to this, please feel free. It's about retirement. I know for me, I don't know, I can't imagine retiring. So I don't know what that looks like, but what do you believe in? What for you, what does retirement look like?
I think it's very different for each person. I would say that it's what you want to do. For example, I had a patient who said, I was put out to pasture. I mean, that's his way of looking at retirement. And I've seen patients who are very vibrant, they go downhill once they retire. So that's important to understand that that's an aspect which is very personal. For me, for example, I want to cut back on my work, maybe in the future, 50%, and do something else, which I never was able to do as a teenager because I was in medical school, couldn't do other things. So I think the way you look at it is very much the same. And there are people who say, I will never retire. I'll probably die on the job. So I think it all depends on what you want, how you like, and what your aims are. And I think that should be what each one should think about. And I think retirement planning should start about 10 years before you start to decide what you're going to do. Otherwise, you're going to end up with mental health problems if you really are not, especially if you're in a leadership position with power and next day you're no one, you're going to be in problem.
Wow, that's like a peak and drop. Right?
Yep.
I think
I know you're working on retirement planning. What does
yes.
that look like?
Yes. See, the thing is, a lot of people take as what Ambika said, that retirement means you're put out to pasture, but it's not. You have to look at it from a different aspect. You have been working, so you have been doing some things to support a family, to get financial, because you have to provide for your family. Then there comes a time when that support, that financial need is not there. So a lot of the things that you do because you have to, because you need to, not because you want to. So retirement is something that you can do what you want to do, not what you need to do.
Exactly.
So it's a very empowering step in your life. So it's like for people who don't have hobbies, they dread retirement because they think, oh, what am I going to do after I retire? Because their identity is tied up with their work. So I would encourage everybody to go beyond that and start look at it as something that you have all this time to do whatever you want to do in life. Because now you're not constrained by doing something that needs to be done. Now you're free. It's your freedom to do what you want.
So the children have left.
Yes. So the sooner you reach that stage, the better it is, right? So it's, you can only make money so much. After that, you don't have to provide, you don't have to make money to provide for your next 7 generations, as I say in India, right? You have provided your children with education, and that is enough resource for them to provide for their children. So you don't need to be working till suddenly you realize that, I have no life. So you get out and then you start enjoying life, and when you're financially not obliged to work.
Right.
So my husband, who was a physician, he says, I'm not retiring from medicine. I will continue medicine, but he says, I just don't need to be paid for it. So
great.
That is what retirement is.
So Jayanti, I kind of want to reach out to you to see what your thoughts are on retirement before we kind of start doing the closing remarks from everyone.
I'm not one of those who would die working without retiring. I'm looking forward to retiring. I can retire anytime now, but the only thing I'm waiting for is I want to finish the project that I am on right now, and I want to publish all the findings that I've done so far. So after that, I really want to retire. I will be missing science, of course, because that has become my way of life all these years. But I think I have other interests as well. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm a big fan of ancient history. I would love to travel and visit all those places, all those great historical places. And if I could learn something. And whatever interests me, I might write some articles. I'm used to writing papers anyway. So, and spend time with my family, and going to India, spend time with my siblings there. They're all retired, and I'm waiting to go there and spend time with them as well. So I don't think I will be, once I retire, I will be depressed or whatever, because I'm thinking I'll be very happy.
You'll be busy.
I want to keep myself busy.
So that's great. So I think we are a couple minutes over, but I want to take this opportunity to thank you, each one of you. You have such a rich, diverse background that has hopefully helped a lot of other women who have been listening, not just women, I think men too, in this case, who are listening to this panel discussion. So to close out, I'd like to call on every one of you to give your closing remarks. Please take like 20 seconds. And so we can kind of finish up. So let's start with Supriya, then if you want to go, and then we'll continue on.
Yes, thank you, Bhavani. So I'd like to wholeheartedly thank everyone, Bhavani, especially you and everyone on the panel. This has been an incredible opportunity. It's my first time doing something like this, but I have personally admired all of you and learned so much. And I feel these are very essential for us to have this women force where we can bounce off of each other and get the encouragement to move on in life and achieve big. So hearty congratulations to Harish Aure as well for a successful convention, and wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Sangeeta, let's go with you next. If you want to take 20 seconds to kind of closing remarks.
Sure, thank you. I thoroughly enjoyed this forum, and thank you for giving me an opportunity. I feel I was probably not quite qualified to be in this panel because you all are such awesome women. And I feel that I haven't achieved even half of what you have done, but I'm truly honored to be part of this panel. And I would like to finish off by a quote by Winston Churchill. I'm not a big fan of his, but still what he said makes sense, which is, we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give.
Fantastic. Yep. Thank you. And don't ever put yourself down. That's one thing women have to learn. Don't ever put yourself down. Don't let anybody judge you. All right, Jayanti.
Unmute.
You're on mute. Anu, do you want, oh, go ahead, Jayanti.
It was a pleasure meeting you all on this panel and learning about everyone's accomplishments, and it was really nice to know all of you. And hopefully we women on this panel have inspired a few people to take on and become empowered, and take care of their life really well. So that's what I can say from this thing. But I really enjoyed it, and I would like to thank you, Bhavani, and also all the organizers for giving us this opportunity. So
Thank you.
thank you.
We have what, Anu and Ambika.
Okay. I'd like to thank Harishiramat for just giving us such a wonderful with such a big team. And Bhavani, this was really a wonderful experience. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be a part of the panel. I learned a lot, enjoyed everybody's accomplishments, and learned a lot. So it's very inspiring. And I just want to say that, let's all, be inspiration to each other, get involved, avoid the toxicity, and, bring positivity in everything that what we see is what the take home message I think we should give. Thank you.
And I hope we can continue this kind of conversation moving forward.
Absolutely.
Ambika?
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, thank you, Bhavani. Thank you, Harish, and the rest of the team. And it was great meeting you ladies, because it's something, we do a lot of these. I do a lot of these, but this was a sort of a unique. It's usually with physicians, and this is something different for me. I really enjoyed it. And I'd like to just end with saying that for women, even the sky is not the limit. It should go beyond that. So that's where we should aim for.
Thank you. Once again, thank you for the opportunity.
Bhavani, I would like to say something.
Lakshmi.
Sure. So putting together a convention like this is really needs a bird's eye detail. And I think Harishavaru and you and all your team, Ratna, you all have done a super work. And I've listened to, some of the speeches. Everything was done very neatly back to back and followed all the protocol. So great job on that. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And, it was really wonderful working with all of the panelists. I would like to leave with one quote by Muhammad Ali. He said, community service is the rent that we pay for our time on this earth. And this is so much like a community service. Being part of VSNA has been the greatest honor and, the highest reward for me working with VSNA. So thank you, Bhavani. And Bhavani, you put this whole thing within like less than a week. So kudos to you.
Hats off.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Bhavani. Real good questions.
Thank you, Bhavani.
If you guys didn't agree, I wouldn't have had this panel. So thank you for joining. And Ratna for introducing. Ratna, if you want to say a couple of words, that would be fantastic, and we'll close down.
Thank you all. It was amazing. I learned a lot from you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Ratna, for helping with the organization.
All right. Thank you, Harish. I'm going to return this back to you, and so you can close out. I think we're going to be on a break now for an hour before we start the next program.
Yes.
Yeah, we have only 50 minutes now for it's okay. And I want to thank really, first, the initial idea came from, you will be surprised. It came from Lakshmi Akka. She asked me to do this one. Then immediately I told, why can't you take the lead? Then she told, okay, talk to Bhavani. Then I started Bhavani did a miracle. Within 3 days, she were already took it and running immediately. Excellent job. I truly enjoyed, every one of you. And I think it has inspired a lot of people. You can see a lot of comments on YouTube. Once you go back, you can look at it. They have specifically told whose idea they have appreciated and whose comment they appreciated, especially Sangeeta Patil's comment, financially independent. Fantastic. So you'll enjoy this one. Excellent. And we'll do it very often. Bhavani is there to excellent organizer, and she can do it in a whiff like this, and we'll have it quite often. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
With all your permission, I want to close this, our Sankavvana Naduhagalu. Sankavvana Naduhagalu is very important. We are taking these names, for you all to take home this message. These ladies, you have been in this century, you're so fortunate. 900 years back, these ladies, ordinary, from the huts and small villages, they have done this wonderful, marvelous job. And so one of our speaker was telling, is a will. It is a will they have written for us. This, our afternoon, our Sankavvana Naduhagalu was ತಾಯಿ ಸೂಳೆ ಸಂಕವನಿಗೆ ಅರ್ಪಿತ ಆಗಿದ್ದಿದ್ದು. ಅವ್ರ ನೆನಪಿಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಅದನ್ನ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ನಾವು ಇವತ್ತು ನೆನಪಿಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಅವರು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರುವಂತಹ ಕಾಣಿಕೆ ನಮಗೆ ಒಂದೇ ವಚನ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿರೋದು. ವಚನಗಳು ಬರೆದಿರೋಣೋ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಅವರ ಒಂದು ವಚನವನ್ನು ಆಗನೇ ಹೇಳಿದೀವಿ. ಈಗ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಅದೇ ಕಾಯಕದ ಪುಣ್ಯ ಸ್ತ್ರೀ ಗಂಗಮ್ಮ ಅಂತ, ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಹಾದರ ಕಾಯಕದ ಮಾರಯ್ಯನ ಪುಣ್ಯಸ್ತ್ರೀ ಗಂಗಮ್ಮ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಅವರ ಅಂಕಿತ ನಾಮ ಗಂಗೇಶ್ವರ ಅಂತ. ಅವರ ಒಂದು ವಚನವನ್ನು ಹೇಳಿ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ನಾನು ಮುಗಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಆವ ಕಾಯಕವ ಮಾಡಿದಡು ಒಂದೇ ಕಾಯಕವಯ್ಯ, ಆವ ಕಾಯಕವ ಮಾಡಿದಡು ಒಂದೇ ಕಾಯಕವಯ್ಯ, ಆವ ವೃತವಾದಡು ಒಂದೇ ವೃತವಯ್ಯ. ಆಯ ತಪ್ಪಿದಡೆ ಸಾವಿಲ್ಲ, ಆಯ ತಪ್ಪಿದಡೆ ಸಾವಿಲ್ಲ, ವೃತ ತಪ್ಪಿದಡೆ ಕೂಡಲಿಲ್ಲ, ವೃತ ತಪ್ಪಿದಡೆ ಕೂಡಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಕಾಕ ಪಿಕದಂತೆ ಕೂಡಲು ನಾಯಕ ನರಕ ಗಂಗೇಶ್ವರ ಲಿಂಗದಲ್ಲಿ. ಬಹಳ ಅರ್ಥಕಲ್ಪಿತವಾಗಿದೆ. ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಮೇನ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಮುಗಿಸ್ಬಿಡ್ಬೋದು. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ದಿನ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಸ್ವಾಮಿಗಳನ್ನ ಕರೆದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇದನ್ನ ಏನು ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡೋಣ. ಇದನ್ನ ಹೇಳಿ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂಕವನ ನಡುಹಗಲನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮನ ಮುಗಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು.